GT. हाय चलो न्यू स्ट्रीम ऑफ माय फेवरेट टी अरे वो गेम इतना शुरू हो गया
You see explosions, you see explosions, you're at explosions, but there's a lot of
What?
reliance on making sure that your server utility to come out from Bane is going to be there. And remember, it's been a little bit for him.
You need that assistance.
Bhai,
You
I
mentioned it
missed
before, not just Bane.
I missed so
it's
much,
how
huh?
they all work alongside each other. Hyunmin and Flashback as well. They need to be supported.
Wait.
Conversely, though, Komodo, I'm thinking for Paper X, they started things out incredibly hot. We do have, some of our favorite players on different roles, different agents. How does that continue to play out?
ठीक है भाई हाफ टाइम से
You kind of
देखते
expect
छोड़ो
the
छोड़ो
consistent performance with that. But how does Jing look on this
ओके
open?
जेंग्स
I
वोक्स
think
में
towards
चले
how
गए
early they got, knocked out over towards
माइंड
kickoff, and how
फ्रीक
much time they've had to
साइफर हो
actually
गया
practice a new emerging comp and meta like
और एक
Writhos.
टीओ स्पेशलिस्ट बना दिया
Time
लोग
for sure.
ठीक है अंडरस्टैंडेबल
We shall see
नाइस
how it does continue to play forward now. Jing thus far has been, I would say, quite okay. 10-5.
Well, standard things, but unfortunately for Freeing, going to be the casualty of the bullets.
Yeah, just a couple of shots blindly through the cage and does find something. A kill, that is, not clear.
Kind of passive for Paper X at the moment. Don't mind it. Bit of a garage look after for them.
Oh, भाई नाइस
Smashed
शॉट
off, however. And that's going to be the B site that you want to start to get aggressive on. Though I'm looking at the other members of DRX. How are you going to get Bane in this? How are you going to get Flashback? If you're trying to tap on towards the plant, you're trying to set Hyunmin in for a bit of a sneaky beaky play. But it's the one-to-one trade. And now you actually have managed to get in towards this A site. Does Forsaken know? It's empty space.
And certainly suspects it, thus not making too much noise as he heads back onto Heaven. Meanwhile, though, the rest of the team is circling back up. They do have the fault line paranoia combo. That allows Forsaken to at least get one. Still trying to get ahead, take the initiative, deny that spike plant, but Bane will hold his ground. A single tap and forced to hang back and reload. Still, though, audio cues be damned. Something has a flashpoint in his pocket. Looks for the right timing. Senses a bit of a fake. Now slowly creeps up. Bane looks to stick, and there it is, the flash sent through. It doesn't quite find him,
nice
Bane will find the headshot. DRX marching forward.
It's close, but it is carried over from the first half. A couple of early duels, right? The one-to-one trades to come out, some repositions around the map. I do really actually like what DRX did over towards the B site. When you take out Devi, you recognize that there's going to be no one else on towards the site. You go in for the look on, are we actually going to plant here? You bait out some rotations from Forsaken off the A site, you get in there and you go for the plant. However, the quick heads up for Paper X to recognize they've got a paranoia, fault line combination that they can go in with to drop Forsaken in towards the site. I thought that that retake was going to look good for Paper X, but individually at the end, Bane finds that one. This is the way back in for DRX for this map.
Absolutely. It almost definitely feels like DRX are given a lot more options, a lot more freedom with how they've been moving around the map.
भाई साहब पूरा util
single
बचा
kill off of B, and they don't quite fully commit because they still have more that they can work with. Now, on the anti-eco, of course, straight into C.
Yeah,
got a bit of a lurk as well.
A difference as well from Paper X. When they lose positions around the map, they recognize that they just need to take space somewhere. Yes, it's on the eco round, but I'd love to see this when they get their rifle rounds happening.
Might be a different story if they had guns, but of course now onto the pistols. Just hold up inside garage. Util back in, so a bit of a progression smoke. Hyunmin tries to look for a head or two around the dome. Doesn't quite find much. That allows for Paper X to march in. Boots on the ground, but Flashback still holding the angle. Slides forward, and that's gonna be a second kill to his name. Still though, a couple of trades right back from Paper X, and that's enough damage, you would say. Mako trying to hold back true.
Everyone
need ninjas.
Damn.
Up with the spike at the end. When you can't get any more royalties, you don't want to give anything more over towards Hyunmin, to Bane as well, getting closer to that Hunter's Fury.
Free का points ही दे रहे हो भाई.
Ultimates that could definitely be impactful when you're going in towards the next gun round for Paper X, for example. That could pick you off at the very beginning, allow DRX to really start to steamroll back in towards this map. Again, not too much that you'll take away from a round such as that. Some damage at the attempt to retake.
Alex लिखते हुए दिख गया.
Sure.
Rare scenario.
Diligent Diligent Alex, as he marks down further notes, might have spotted something or two, but at the same time, wondering about how this double duelist might work out. Sure, some guns were robbed away, but they will be able to buy or at least trade some weapons off of each other. It's flashback in with a Bulldog instead of a Bucky.
Yeah. Quick up towards mid as well from DRX. If they actually want to attend towards this seaside at the moment, they're going to have a quick round on towards Mindfreak. He's gone. Do they expect, however, Jing to still be in here? Because it looks a little bit awkward for him. Good for one.
Yeah, and that is going to be an effective flood
nonetheless.
बढ़िया pathing था भाई.
This is such an insane pathing यार. B से इधर गए. और इधर से crunch हुआ, इधर से crunch हुआ.
But then
Really well
denied out
played.
by Mako with a Sheriff. It's just down to Divine, and he has to hold on to this gun for the next round.
Well, that's attacking-sided bonuses, unless somehow Divide gets from A to C and a defuse here. Going both of those teams' way on the attacking side. So you're playing towards the narrative that attacking strengths are continuing here on Haven for this breach Teho meta.
Good economy for them. काफी अच्छा economy हो जाएगा इन लोग का.
Yeah, and
और इन लोग
DRX,
पूरा broke है तो
say
eco
breach
होगा
Teho,
next
right?
round.
But they're changing it up. Double duelist, you got to be a little bit more proficient and cohesive with what layering of utility that you want to do to get in towards the sites. And I'm looking at it here for poor old Devi. He will go down at the end. Bonus not able to take away a rifle towards this next round as well. We're staring down the barrel of potential equalizer.
मेरे आते ही हारना क्यों शुरू कर दी
Two
PRA.
rounds and quick enough, DRX are able to kind of suspect what kind of defensive positions PaperX might be holding. That was a very deliberate plan, Komodo, to send Flashback as well as Hyunmin in, both in and outside of Garage, where they start to launch that assault into the C site.
Yeah, double duelist strengths at the moment for DRX are really going to play on the back of changing up their approaches, right? If you're switching and swapping between fast plays, bait plays, and, or just pure overwhelming numbers if you're going for a little bit of contact play towards C long that we saw from PaperX over in the first.
भाई कितना बढ़िया animation है.
It's definitely going to be a thing to keep PaperX questioning where do we want to rotate our key positions, where do we want to layer up any fault line salvo combos, where do we want to position Forsaken as well to be able to quickly rotate, but more importantly apply pressure in taking space around the map.
Yeah, the most successful one that we've seen thus far was just on the pistol, where Forsaken managed to get that read, where he was playing kind of passively or defensively enough on towards Hey Heaven. Is that going to be the case for the upcoming rounds, though? Not quite sure, but one thing we can say for sure is that there are millions of Jing fans.
ये क्या है ये डंडे बीच में? इसका काम क्या होता है?
Jing and an Omen, right?
No.
How many of them would have thought that they were having a complete switch up towards PaperX, which, I look at this roster of agents and I think this is not incentivized into a W gaming, but it can have its key moments.
Well, we'll see. Final score does echo.
भाई ये डार्ट कितना बढ़िया है.
Looking to perform for the rest of this season. Right now, DRX
कितना बढ़िया डार्ट है भाई. This clears this entire space.
Might have been a timeout from Alex, but still, PaperX does not have the guns currently. They are starting off with a bit of a 3-2 split, though.
Slow and steady, but for the sake he's baited in towards finding some information for himself to try and steer the ship steady for PaperX, and it's just going to be the upheaval in towards this A site for DRX.
Whoa. Okay, no opportunity for Forsaken to gate crash back into safety, and right now, no opportunity for Divide to even find a single frag. Jing, however, marches out of Garage with Mindfreak along his back. He will take a gun away from freeing. But that said, a site has been given over onto DRX.
ठीक है. इसके बाद वाले round matter करेगा मेनू तो.
Gonna look at the backlines for Marco. Everyone else focused on towards the site at the moment. A lot of utility as well. Recon to be able to play off. I'll actually spot out mine too. An idea, and it might even be a double drop towards Heaven. Smoke Jing off, force him to reposition. You hear the Vandal echo too.
That's just a tough situation to be in. Mindfreak in with the Sheriff trying to look for a single pick, but nothing found. Jing off with the save.
Can't blame him. You definitely want all of the pieces going in towards the next round as well. When you looked on the back of what's around the corner for PaperX2, right? Forsaken with the dimensional drift, Defy is one away.
Saving और इन सब चीज के अंदर तो थोड़ा दिमाग आ गया इन लोग के अंदर. जो इन लोग को बहुत पहले आ जाना चाहिए था, but
losing a sight, call the audible, call for the strong retake, let Forsaken go in, find you all the information.
लगता है finally इन लोग economy पे work किया कि भाई ऐसे alt economy और money economy work करता है.
Certainly something that PaperX could be looking to pull off in some of the upcoming rounds. Yeah, you do have that dimensional drift. You have the breach Teo combos as well. But right now, this scoreline, Komodo, it's been 8 straight rounds for DRX to get themselves back into this game. Flashback on the overdrive as well, Hyunmin on the blades. These duelists are certainly looking to pop off. Shock Dart into break a trip.
काफी टफ राउंड हो गया ये वाला.
It is just going to be Mindfreak at that C site to bunker down. Jing falls first, overlooking something at the moment though, so at least a little bit of a later trade in the mix, trying to get on in. It's so awkward for that spray.
Really well
but
done.
Look at Flashback, he's got in the backlines.
Yeah, that's not too bad. 2 for 1. Flashback into the backlines, so that's what ultimately cracks open the site. But here comes Forsaken with a bit of an ult. He's looking for information. He's looking to break and force them to disperse. The flash might just do that. He sends out a second one and looks to infiltrate behind enemy lines. Divide and takes initiative.
1v1 है भाई एक हिसाब से. Oh, nice shot भाई, nice shot.
Down to
Really
Flashback.
nice shot.
And a sudden 1-on-2 goes for the peak. And he will take down Forsaken. Could this be the quad?
Boy, भाई क्या shot
the
हमारा.
winning sign against Paper Rex.
Confidence, that's confidence for Flashback in this squad. The first installment of him on this Neon, and he's starting to get in towards this for the team.
DRX is
looking
looking
in
too
towards
good,
what
right?
Forsaken and Divide are trying to do in that retake, right? When I'm seeing plants go down, 2 versus 3, sometimes you might look to question, why is he using that ultimate? He had an operator, he switched into the Vandal, but more importantly, he's using himself as an information position at the moment there for his teammate in Divide to get the salvos right, to try and flush out the opponents, and I'm thinking it's looking gorgeous in how they're, you know, maintaining their stability in that retake, but no.
अच्छा DRX का मार करते हैं.
DRX for the lead here and quick in towards the new round.
Paper X Icebox choose किया है.
Brought to you by Red Bull,
Huh?
of course, but then next round coming up, bit of info and Forsaken TPs
Damn,
right the
right?
heck out of there.
A bit of silence around the server as well. Marco to sneak up towards the C site. A little bit of hesitancy in all the other positions around the map as well. Trade. And Garage if you do want, but starting to get a little bit antsy. Spotting out.
Speaking of Garage, that is the position where something was playing earlier before, possibly trying to lure DRX into another hit.
There's a bit of a shift from Paper X towards the A side at the moment.
That's right.
This is going to be a bit of a wrong call for
Yeah,
him.
something.
If he spotted out the shoulder or
Oh
something.
भाई क्या timing है.
Brilliant opener. This is a bit of a misread from Paper X.
Yeah, not enough information outside of the A lines, and that brings them over, but gives up more space around C, and that is
Bro,
where
their
DRX
aim is too
will
good.
explode. Bane in with the next kill, and all of a sudden, the spike goes down. Garage under DRX's control. I just can't imagine a scenario where Paper X takes this round back.
Yeah, that one actually really hurts for Paper X too, because you don't mind the starting ideas of that Paper X.
नहीं एक सेकंड रुको.
Well, trade. Garage if you do
तो
want
they
to
went
start
from
to
mid
get a little
crunch.
antsy,
ठीक है.
spotting out.
ना A पे इन लोग को info है, ना B या C
That
पे
is the
info है इन
position
लोग
where
को.
something was playing earlier before, possibly trying to lure
A पे
DRX
jump
into
किया
another hit.
इसका इन लोग
A bit of a
sorry C
shift
पे
from
jump
Paper
किया
X
इसका इन
towards
लोग
the A side at the moment.
A stack कर लिया.
Yeah.
Why are they not?
Unfortunately for
Why are
Paper
they
X
not
in this round,
fighting
they
for
do
this?
have to look to try and save the remainder of their guns.
Yeah, still though, they are conceding that round.
DRX को तो
As
fight
we
करना
near
चाहिए भाई,
double
बहुत
digits,
पैसा है इन
well,
लोग के
just
पास.
landed on double digits, Komodo. It is going to be a bit of an intense scenario, let's say, for Paper X to be in. You know, starting to feel that pressure mount up again, and this is where you can wonder, is the pressure getting to them?
Potentially so. You're looking around
Nice,
what
really.
sort of successes, you know, would come out from a comp like this that Paper X are playing with, and you're not really
भाई
seeing a lot
DRX
of
का
those normal
aim
combos of
बहुत
full lines and
crisp है.
salvos, then getting
बहुत crisp है.
Forsaken on the line. Back to the drawing board to get some information from Alex. What does he recognize at the moment? Because remember, when DRX were in a situation like this on their other side, Termi goes for the timeout, and they come out with a flawless remainder of the half, 4 in a row, and then, well, look at this, Quack. They've continued a flawless run so far.
I know. 10 straight rounds for DRX after losing 8 straight ones, but you know what? I love this timeout. I don't mind it. Even if Alex doesn't necessarily have anything too cerebral to call out for his team, just a bit of a breather could be enough for them. At the same time, though, he is being very active, so I do wonder
Straight side hits के लिए जा रहे हैं भाई इन
for the
लोग.
next round. They managed to keep their guns, at least.
Yeah, surviving with a couple of them over will bolster them up in a round such as this, but you've got a question, right? The momentum going over towards DRX, who you're thinking might be a bit shaky going onto a double duelist that we've not really seen. Some role shifts across the whole server.
Alt's still online.
Yeah, I was about to say as well, Rolling Thunder, Armageddon, again, key pieces that you can taken towards a retake, one from Mind Freak away for that neural theft. So I'm thinking, well, if you're going to be forced in towards a retake, these aren't the worst items to have available.
Oh, well, they do start out with a bit of a creep outside of B. Forsaken
वापस mid
does
का
have the gate
free.
crash towards the back of A as well. Just a bit of a spray, doesn't see anything. So back into the A site where DRX.
अरे इन लोग को दोनों साइड info ही नहीं है. Proper सिर्फ mid के लिए क्यों जा रहे हैं लोग?
Well, it would be successive, but again, if you are going to shift in towards a retake for Paper X, you definitely want to have these abilities, right? So they've been holding a bunch of them just by the nature of how the start of this round was played.
Proper retake के लिए क्योंकि इन लोगों को low ult है.
Off of some kind of info, and that's what that drone is looking to do. Spotted out a little bit, Rolling Thunder immediately out, still holding on to the armor, get it. But here it comes, a bit of a clone sent through. Armageddon to clear out short. Forsaken starts his assault.
Damn, bhai.
Heaven, 3 kills down, and down with the salvos as well. Defy picks up the last one.
भाई 4 seconds सबको ऊपर से कैसे मार दिया? Show me the point of view.
An immediate effect,
Show me his
so
point
you're
of
playing
view.
a good percentage on the back of that one. But again, Rolling Thunder not directly laid where the Armageddon is too. You're waiting for Forsaken to get that blind side out of heaven and gate crash into the site or drop on down. You know, some nice ideas from Paper X in that scenario, but they don't play their hand. They don't get too overcomplicated, right? It's not like you're throwing the whole kitchen sink in towards that round. It's very cohesive. What positions of utility they need to throw in.
Okay, एक blind, दूसरा इस set का. Oh भाई, nice shot.
Dislodge flashback. So
Nice
I
shot.
really do like how that retake was formulated for Paper X.
And that's a great round for them. A sigh of relief, if anything. But with the fact that it's a flawless, you just gotta.
दोनों संग में होना चाहिए ना, लेकिन ये अलग-अलग होना काफी detrimental नहीं था.
Scramble all throughout.
4 players towards the A side of the map at the moment for Paper X. A 1-to-1 trade at the end, but that would incentivize a go time towards this C side. If you sniff out, there's no trap there from Mind Freak though, because there's camera, there's a trip. But
अगर something जल्दी पहुंच गया, window का पाथ नहीं लिया इन लोग.
Most curious about though is Mako on this deep lurk outside B. Does Paper X find him at some point? If not, it could be trouble. Right now, though, at least Forsaken does spot Hyunmin out by C Long. 3 players, though, from DRX, all coming in. They're just looking to provide that additional support. And there it is. Even with a second flash, it's not going to be enough. Something will get gunned down. And that's the entire C-Long area being controlled by DRX. A tough defuse going through. Mind Freak, though, nonetheless, still trying to stick it. But here comes that Hunter's Fury. He gets lazed. And all that's left is just Davai. Mako marches forward back
practice नहीं किए most probably इस map
at this point, just looking for a bit of a safe haven. Well, on the map of Haven, of course, but still, he's somewhat surrounded. Look at Bane.
Untenable. An absolutely untenable position from him in the beginnings of this retake here. I got to highlight as well, right? You mentioned Marco going for that little lurk as oh no, awkward. Marco's position actually extremely paramount. When he throws out a paranoia, it dispatches the guys around C a little bit from Paper X. Starting to consider, is Marco actually going to play on the back of this rotate? Is he going to get in our backlines when we're going for this retake? There's such a premium on Forsaken and on something in that flank of their own to try and get some damage, because if that flank is successful, Bane doesn't have the Hunter's Fury. The team of DRX are not looking towards the spike, and you can get some sort of retake happening successfully. So a couple of key moments in that round going DRX's way.
भाई कितना मिड पे फोकस कर रहे हैं लोग, बाप रे बाप.
All eyes are on Forsaken, how he's going to work this Euro. Previously with that dimensional drift, trying to get space around C-Long, didn't quite work out this time.
इन लोग बहुत confused है भाई, दोनों एक साथ जा रहे हैं because they have no information.
Very cautious with how they're looking for this point.
I mean, changing up the approach though, are Paper X, sending Mind Freak's territory over towards this A site and freeing, just playing hooky with the
like Cypher is playing really
bad. The job done. You start to piece
together a bit of information around where these players are on the map.
Bit of a chase against that stealth drone as well, but here goes. More information found. Defy, though, open positions, and that's going to be Bane punishing them right now. Hyunmin towards the back of A as well. Forsaken, the only one left. In with a Phantom, quick in towards the open lanes once more, and flashback says lights out.
If you have no information over here and here, it's really impossible to play this one. दोनों में से किसी एक जगह का तो control लेके रखना पड़ेगा इन लोगों को.
Down one area of this map to let the rest of your team explore, play on utility, play on information. Feels like something at the end of that one, a little bit disconnected from the rest of the team, right? Losing their lives in towards the front of B, not setting up any combinations of utility or anything for himself to be a bit self-sufficient. So a bit awkward for Paper X, and now
Finally
three chances
लेने का
straight
इन लोग try
for
किया.
DRX to close out this map.
All right, chance uno, and they start things off a little bit safer than before. A 2-3 split with Forsaken up towards a very forward. Unfortunately for him, though, Ring has snuck past. That could be.
अरे भाई ये लोग एकदम ये मैप नहीं खेले यार.
Powerful for him. It's just
there is no way they.
And the opener is there on a Forsaken. That has to be the call for the team to immediately get over.
ये लोग ये मैप खेले ही नहीं है. हो ही नहीं सकता इन लोग को पता ना हो ये सब
It's
timing.
going to be a little bit dirty. And now Marco again can transition into
They
playing
are
his own
extremely
little lurk,
confused.
and we've
They
already
don't know
seen
where
how
the flanks can
destructive
be,
that has been so far
etc.
too.
Very, very much so, Komodo. This could be it. DRX. Not only did they win
पर अगर ये
time
खेले
for
नहीं है
the
तो इसको
duels,
free
they're
float में
winning
क्यों
out
रखा है इन लोग?
positions as well. And Paper X just have to
Why didn't
consistently
they
watch their back. That
like
is
ban this?
nothing too comfortable. You're gonna always feel like someone's right behind you, and as they push on out, it's a choke point. DRX has them under a chokehold, winning out 13-9 as the final score on their own map pick of Haven.
A singular defensive round to come through from there on Paper X's side. It's got to be a little bit hurting for them, and not even a little bit really. You're up 8-4 at the half. You're thinking all the momentum's going on your way, and then DRX just kind of come out of the gates a little bit firing, continuing towards the second half, and you feel like you really don't have a leg in this race. So back to the drawing board a little bit for Paper X, and I got to say, you know, a nice idea for them to try and change things up, right? Playing the old DRX comp, trying to adopt some features that we see some strengths from them previously here, but
honestly didn't get the op out enough.
And I gotta say, you know, a nice idea for them to try and
saw the effects of it. Still, I want to say there are two sides to any coin. This was DRX's map pick after all, and with a scoreline like this, I think Paper X shouldn't be too harsh on themselves.
No, I don't think so. A bit of a warm-up to come in towards stage one as well, where I'll say the format isn't as maybe brutal as
This was DRX's map pick after all, and with a scoreline like this, I think Paper X shouldn't be too harsh on themselves.
No, I don't think so.
Much. We'll see.
That one. This is the way back
Sheriff,
for DRX for this map.
So it might be a couple of light armors for next round, but
like
we'll see if they decide to get
over onto the desk to break all of this down because, well, DRX definitely still in the lead.
What a hot start to today's match, Paper X and DRX, and there was a moment in the first half where we said, oh my god, Paper X is back, oh my god, DRX, what are you doing? Then things swiftly turn around. They had a really
Okay, next map is Icebox. वैसे historically Paper X is not so good on Icebox. I don't know why they picked it. भाई उसका तो और भी अच्छा मैप है ना. मैप पूल क्या चल रहा है अभी? Paper X.
What are they doing? None of this makes any sense. And then it's like, you know, they kind of remembered what game they're playing for a second, and then, you know, they woke back up. But this is the classic, like, they had us in the first half, not gonna lie, you know.
Textbook. At the end of the day, like, you have two pretty big comp switches and role changes for both of these teams. You're gonna get a lot of parity, and I think for Paper X, they had a good approach initially. They went up 8-0, but they let DRX back into the game. They got a little bit too one-dimensional. They kept going for that kind of death ball contacty style over towards C in particular. It's something that DRX heavily started to figure out, and then they got pistol, and then they got bonus win, and they were well and truly back in the game. I don't feel like they had a very strong defined idea of what they wanted to do on defense until they started to respond to what PRX was doing to them and to adapt to them a little bit more.
Wait, Fracture is in the pool. Fracture इन लोग अच्छा खेलते हैं.
Never played Neon before. It's his first game on Neon ever.
Lotus इन लोग third यही है. अबिस हट गया. ये हट गया. पर्ल के अंदर इन लोग और शॉट है नहीं, लेकिन इन लोग का कॉम्प काफ़ी अच्छा था. They lost Pearl to DFM, but अच्छा कॉम्प था. They didn't play well together at that time. Fracture क्यों नहीं चूज किया इन लोग? Icebox क्यों चूज किया भाई? Icebox का कॉम्प इन लोग का अच्छा हो गया क्या? Have they some good स्टैट पूल या कुछ अच्छा बना दिया क्या Icebox पे? क्यों चूज किया होगा समझ नहीं आ रहा. Icebox हिस्टोरिकली अच्छा थोड़ी ना रहा इन लोग का.
Yeah, for sure. Some really good adaptations from them time and time again. I mean, you see these side executes just kind of making sure they minimize risk with all the utility. They go in together. It's good spacing and good trading time and time again. I think here you see a classic bonus round from DRX. Here you see the neon wall and the smoke over in towards A-Link, and you turn it into a back garage wrap towards C. It's what allowed DRX to win the bonus, and you're able to come away.
हाँ, इन लोग स्टडी भी नहीं किया लगता DRX को, क्योंकि DRX जब ये पहले खेल रहा था हेवन, वो यूजुअली ये वाला स्ट्रैट पुल करता ही था, बट इन लोग को नहीं पता था. जैसे माइंडसेट पूरा क्लूलेस था कि भाई क्या किधर से आ गया भाई बंदा. They didn't study DRX at all. I guess they are focusing on themselves a lot more. ठीक है, let's see Icebox, उसके बाद जज किया जाएगा. पहला 8 राउंड कैसे जीते फिर भाई?
He's a great Cypher. But speaking of Icebox, we haven't seen these two teams play Icebox in quite a while, especially against each other. And now with the Tejo, with Waylay, even ISO being buffed, Arbor being buffed, we've got a lot of changes happening. So Icebox is being really interesting. And what else has changed is TRX and the playstyle. The fact that they picked double duelist on Haven and played the way they did is already
I think so.
evolution of this team.
If PaperX shows some sort of hope in Icebox, I will be really happy. Like, अगर हार भी जाए लेकिन 10-12, 11-12 ऐसा करके कुछ हारे ना, तो I'll be happy कि हाँ ठीक है, थोड़ा स्कोप है, क्योंकि उन लोग पूरा रोल चेंज किया अपना, और अब जाके पहले ऑफिशियल्स खेल रहे, तो 1-2 मैच जहाँ तक लग सकता है इन लोग को थोड़ा ग्रूव में आने के लिए. एसेंट के अंदर मेरे हिसाब से इन लोग का स्ट्रैट बुक थोड़ा छोटा है, एटलीस्ट ऑन डिफेंस साइड. अटैक साइड में देखा नहीं.
And Forsaken on a flash, flash in agent or like a flash duelist in this case, like a Yoru, is not outside the realms of possibility.
Yeah, I do have to say as well, it's definitely nice seeing DRX not run
Okay.
the KO style in a way, you know.
जब तक ये हो रहा है तब तक मैं थोड़ी देर
They ran it the whole way through kickoff, the whole way through Masters, and now they're showing, hey,
थोड़ी देर ब्रेक लेके आता
we
हूँ.
can play where we can win maps without doing that. So it really shows that extra wrinkle that they managed to add to their game post Masters.
To touch on that, like you're talking about Teo, Freeing not being on Teo, so what do you put him on? Well, he played Senti before like a Cypher, so that forces Flashback into a different role, and in this case, that's Duelist. You know, it went okay, I think. Definitely, one half was not great, one half was amazing, so we'll see if they continue to do stuff like that in the future.
I'm just wondering how this is going to carry forward. Again, into Icebox. Flashback, yes, our MVP. We were a little, curious about the Neon. Like we've said, this is the very first time he's been on the Neon, but he proved it, had a lot of really great clutch rounds that helped carry them forth actually in that first half and build up that momentum. I wonder how often are we going to see this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for it more after this map. The casters spoke about this during the game, but Neo needs a lot of setup. And at the start, it didn't feel like he was managing to get that. And then as the team kind of clicked, settled into the game, it felt like he was able to get set up a little more, like we spoke about in that bonus round. He was able to settle into the server and win those clutches.
I mean, it just comes down to what side that they were playing on, right? You can play the game in the way that you intended and be a little bit more assertive on attack. Defense, they weren't really sure that what to do on their initial approach against what PaperX was doing, and once they actually started to get their stuff together a little bit more and adapt, that's where he was able to shine, and they understood, okay, we need to play a bit more of a retake style, we need to play kind of a flood style on C, for example, and understand how the Neon actually fits into that.
I do want to talk about expectations for the remainder of this map. Do you guys stand by your DRX prediction?
I mean, I do after that. I'm glad that they settled in, but map 2 is a complete unknown, right? no Pacific teams played Icebox in a long time, let alone just these two teams. So we don't know what to expect. Icebox is now a place where you're able to be a little bit more creative than you used to be as well. We know PRX are a creative team, so I'm going to be shocked if I see PRX play the meta comp on Icebox. I just don't see it now.
But
I get that that's the direction that they're going, but give me something. Go back to the old school ways. Give me Waylay. Give me Harbor.
I hope so too. But even like PRX, for example, even when people were playing like KO Gecko and things like that, they were still playing Sage, and still like the most common comp on Icebox, and they were a good team doing that on Icebox.
Like I think they can run Sage, but I just don't. We see them pick up this Breach Teo, and it looked, it looked fine for the first half, but then it fell apart on the defense when it's less about trading and it's more about setups. So Icebox is a protocol-heavy map, so I don't want to see them rely on that when that's not who they are at their core. They're W gamers, so I want to see that back.
Do you think we're going to see any surprises from DRX? I know this is a little bit, we're theorizing here a little bit, but I am still really surprised about Haven. So.
The thing is, I wonder how cooked that was, though, because they are one of the teams that have come off Masters. They've had less prep time than a lot of other teams. Maybe they're just throwing something like an off comp in there. So Icebox is a big question mark for me. In fact, I would expect DRX will be the team to either they're going to throw a curveball in terms of a half-cooked comp, which I think that Haven comp might have been, to be fair. But I think I would expect them to do something a little bit more standardized versus PRX, who've had a lot of time to prepare. I would expect them to be the team, especially being the team that did pick Icebox into this series, to throw something a little bit more crazy in there.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's nice having a map that's a complete unknown. It's always great when we get these map pool changes. And I think when a map comes back in and there's lots of changes in Valorant, for me that's the most fun time because everybody gets to try new things.
Oh, absolutely. And I expect nothing less from both of these two teams now, where DRX used to be kind of predictable, really solid, but also very predictable. And they do not disappoint.
Let's go!
Forsaken is adding another notch to the agent pool here.
It's Waylay time. Yeah, finally got it.
Oh भाई रुक जा ओके जिंग टेओ पे है Waylay पे Forsaken है KO is there Sova is there
So they will definitely be
Huh.
on their defense initially to exploit. DRX need to be well aware of that.
They are playing without any sentinels?
I'm keeping an eye on what PRX are going to be able to do.
Isn't this
I think they have to go for things like
insane?
keep an eye on middle a lot more, just because they don't have something like a which really helps you keep a lot of control on the map on defense. And for DRX, I mean, it's a very standardized comp, just with the change of initiator and keeping freeing on the Teo. So I want to see how Teo goes here on Icebox.
Well, you got your Tejo and Jinx.
भाई वाइस या फिर कुछ ले लेना चाहिए था इन लोग क्या किया है?
We're gonna go back to our casters Komodo and Quack to take this crazy.
What is this comp? मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रहा.
Thank you very much, Victoria, as well as Big Time and Pilsky. I think Pilsky got some really good points, though. I mean, a Sentinel's composition is going to be a little bit tricky, especially given how PaperX are starting out on the defense. But you gotta love how they're trying to work alongside the Teo and the meta picks. Waylay already kicking off. It's a bit of
towards the side itself, and you don't generally think that Waylay is going to be a defensive agent, but then you got to remember that the Refract's going to allow Forsaken to go in for a challenge, take the hopeful dub, and then get out.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to how he was playing that Yoru before, but you gotta be very careful, right? Just pressing that ability or refracting back, there is a very tiny window where you can get punished. So, right now, it's just playing it safe, off angles, in towards the site. Not going to be able to find too much, though, and a bit of a salvo being sent through as well. Jing holding on to his currently, but there it goes, allowing for the rest of the team to kind of flood back in. However, that dark smoke, that one way, is blocking so much of it off. As soon as it blooms away, it's going to be Hyunmin now finding the shot back in. Straight in with the Sheriff's, though. Flashback will get gunned down, and here it comes. Bane back in towards a safer spot. Trades for trades, and Freeing will take the next player down. Mindfreak even gunned down from the back. All that's left is just Devi. The spike, not yet planted. 20 seconds left. What?
Yeah, Marco holding out in mid. Very nice timing as well to just recognize that there's a potential flank to come through from Paper X, and at the end of all the damage that is delivered on the A site, freeing on 2 HP, and Marco still on 100 is what is left for DRX to pretty much continue the flawless run from our first map. But Devi here, 10 seconds off the 0 point, but spotted out.
Yeah, and you gotta imagine Freak's just playing from a very safe spot. He's holding on to those salvos for sure. So the first obstacle, you gotta break through Devi. It's gotta be Mako. He's still playing around the boxes so much though. A bit of a tag, it's not gonna be enough. Devi needs to push up front, and as he does, he's gonna be exposing himself to more angles. Mako's got this under lock and key.
Pissed around over towards DRX, but you got to consider it was very winnable for PRX when they're actually taking their time, dumping a lot of this utility in towards the A site to try and make things a little bit hot and heavy for DRX. So look at all of this utility around the site, and when the dark cover fades, that's when you have to just see these duels be won out by DRX, and that's exactly what happens. Some trades there for sure, yes, but ultimately in the round, it's Marco's kill on towards Mindfreak that I would say was a pivotal moment. If he loses that duel, I mean, you play to the numbers, right? The 1 versus 2 should go the way of Paper X there.
Yeah. That said, though, I mean, a lot of it is still going down to the double controller. But wow, okay, starting things off, Salvo's already towards the back of Belt. DRX just hanging back a little bit as well. You know, they've got all these players here, they've got the guns, and at the same time, what was Pilsky talking about again? Yeah, no hard Sentinel. Yeah. Mako gets to slip all the way towards the back. He does spot out Mindfreak, trigger discipline though, and he's just holding onto it. Mindfreak now gunned down, headshots through, and the rest of the team will launch their assault in.
He's got another one. He's looking for 3.
Oh,
that's crazy. What a flank to come out from Marco. A flawless round to come through from DRX, but you just got to remember it is against the weak pistols of Paper X, right? You can't take away too much from that round. A nice idea for them to stack, for sure. Yeah, a nice. I'll say one thing actually. What does that expose? It exposes the tube position. It exposes that because you don't have a Sentinel, you have to be way more proactive around the map as Paper X. Agent composition that they've got is nice timing on your darts, your 0 point, your recon. You can do something like that.
And that's where I get a little bit concerned as well, Komodo, because Paper X, as it is, are already facing so much pressure from the fans, from their team, from each other even at times. And it just can't feel good. You know, you're constantly thinking now, and now you might be worrying about Tube so much so that you're playing way too defensive. Look at what they're doing right now. Hanging back, trying to check for mid. DRX, meanwhile, just continues to hold, slow creeps up back in towards A.
Yeah, and if you're DRX at the moment, how do you want to try and get in towards this site too, right? What sniffing abilities do you technically have? You've still got the drone to come out from freeing, but more importantly, right, do you want to try and just recollect together when you hear some utility going from Paper X? Because this gives you the idea that they don't 100% know where you are either, right? They're trying to figure out the information at this point in the round at the same time.
Precisely, and that's just what happens. Drone out from drone, one into mid, one from A in from DRX, and with that, they time it perfectly into B as well. So a bit of a toxic screen, a bit of a jiggle from Mindfreak as well, but I don't know if he spotted out enough.
Yeah, there's 2 positions around the map that are of key importance. What damage can Freeing do to keep Paper X here? And importantly, what information do Paper X find over at the B site? And unfortunately, they started to shift, which meant vulnerability for something. And now look how far forward Freeing is.
That is
20 seconds though, 20 seconds.
Incredible. But yeah, I think they're still good, Komodo. 20 seconds, yes, that might be the case, but Freeing's got all of this locked down. Still though, okay, looking away, 90 degrees, just around screens. It's a little bit scary. The Salvos does buy some time, but DRX still looking for a safe spot to plant. Bane gets it just in the nick of time. Paper X might have the site surrounded, but at the same time, Mako still not detected. Devi will look to launch the assault straight in. Takes that one pick off against Flashback. And at the same time, Forsaken's still alive. No utility though, so he's just gonna have to gun his way through. Takes down Freeing, and all that's left, Bane and Mako all the way towards the back. They have the spike under their sights. Looking to play around that though, but the reload not in his favor. Forsaken will swing, but Mako swings as well. That's a shot, a trade for trade. And down it's just Mindfreak around the toxic screen. Mako spots him anyway.
Getting the plant down at the right spot at the end where all that utility looks to stall you. The reason I highlight 20 seconds, Quack, as well, because you've got to wait and respect out salvos. A lot of times when teams have those available, right, you have to recognize as well. Have we seen them? Are they down the 40 seconds as well? They throw them out, they stabilize at the end there. I want to highlight too, a good 0 point actually in the middle of this retake meant that DRX had to fight a couple of those duels dry. And it starts to look a little bit awkward, right? PaperX are hitting the shots in towards that one, but at the end, I think you just kind of forget about all the early stages in the round because, well, Mako just gets the clutch.
Yeah, it's just another delicious Red Bull clutch from Mako, as he's known to do. That said, though, I want to see PaperX play a little bit more comfortably, right? You know, playing defensive just isn't quite working out for them. But right now, in a bit of a 3-2 split, they peek into B and they don't see anything.
Yeah. That's important as well, right? Recognize that PaperX are trying to do something with the lesser weaponry. I love to see these sort of ideas on towards the gun rounds as well. If you can fashion a good duel, a good overwhelming force, it can always go a treat. But the fact that they don't see anything at B, they're going to have some numbers here for the retake when the spike does go down.
And with that, numbers for numbers, yeah, Komodo, I'm still quite worried. You know, given the weaponry, it's going to be tough for PaperX. Bit of a refract from Forsaken. I don't know how much information that's really going to give to the team. Toxic screen up. Maybe they look to stick the defuse somewhere here or there.
There's only so many positions that you can look to spam this defuse down attempt though, right?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for sure. One point on another, they're going to have to push out, and as they do, it's going to be a bit of a choke point. Two angles being locked down, freeing alongside Flashback. Hyunmin now chiming in as well. Only one frag found for PaperX. DRX, on the other hand, a 4-0 scoreline.
Yeah, off to a similar start from what PaperX were able to do over on Haven, right? So it feels like attacking side, your opponent's map pick, good start, but does it falter over at the end? I mean, we'll have to see that in a couple of moments' time in the future. But right now, I mean, DRX are looking to carry momentum. They're looking to be very cohesive. You know, the comms you're expecting to be good because everybody is recognizing on DRX at the moment what utility needs to go where. Even in the positions where the time is starting to become a factor, they're also, you know, kind of looking pretty good. So try to cut the head off this one nice and early. PaperX have a timeout, and we already saw in the first series, right, conversion rates on the back of timeouts.
And that's the whole thing. You know, PaperX, they have been known to do this before off of timeouts, but it's been a bit of a tough year for them so far. We'll see if this really comes into factor for them. You can see that Alex, at the very least, you know, he isn't molding. He's very active, and hopefully that does help them. But at the same time, I just got to imagine for DRX, they've won the whole of kickoffs. They've challenged tough opponents back on bigger stages than this. As we head back on over to Pacific, playing old compositions that they've been known to play before. I just imagine, even with new players, they're very comfortable working with Hermes' system.
Yeah. Well, I'll flip it on the other side for a moment, right? For PaperX, they weren't a bad Icebox team back in the day when it was in the pool, right? You think of Forsaken getting out on the Sova, more importantly, Jing on the Sova, having Devi on the Killjoy, right? These were Sentinels that were able to play around the map, were able to lock things down very convincingly. That was a key strength of PaperX back then. And here, you change it up completely on its head, and we're just seeing very big disconnection at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a mental thing for them, but we'll see if they can frag themselves back in the game, if anything. Right now, they have the guns, of course, but still, smoke's up and online, and right now, it's going to be the B site under attack. DRX have already planted their boots firmly into the ground. Vayne in with a single headshot. Hyunmin looks to take that player out from upper, but also something just getting into safety.
Quick in towards this B site and a protective pit as well. I mean, how do you get into this retake as PaperX?
It's going to be tough for sure. Be it Forsaken can do something, but he's on it. On top of all things, the ult as well, and it continues to work against PaperX's dismay. At the same time, Flashback coming up from behind. Vayne repositioning around as well. The pit might fall, and PaperX might be able to push up, but you are absolutely right, Komodo. They are running out of time. Bit of Teho utility. The Armageddon rings through. They're off of the spike. They might have yellow under control, but do they find the frags? That is the key here. Something tries as he does. He manages to take away 2, but needs a little bit more. Flashback suddenly now up from behind reveals the surprise that PaperX does not have any control whatsoever.
Yeah, pretty quick explosion in towards the B site from them, and I'm thinking to myself, if they're able to get in here, get a pick or not, but if you get the Viper's pit down, it's going to be so difficult for them to get back in towards a retake. I'm looking at Paper X, you mentioned that there's an operator in there, right, for Forsaken. And it's a difficult weapon to get in towards it, specifically on this waylay where you're trying to see players that are adopting it, getting in quick, getting the information, maybe a kill, and then refracting back out, right? Already using that ability earlier on, no longer available. Yes, you could try and use your ultimate to get your team in towards it, but you just look at that B side, how disconnected DRX are from the actual position. It's awkward. And you switch in towards the next round. We've got an immediate A assault being shut down. These pistols of Paper X not able to find too much.
Yeah, it is pistols after all. But you gotta imagine it doesn't feel too good. At least Jing will be able to get away with one up on pipes, but at the same time, back into B, we got a little bit of
Ring around the rosy.
loop. Yeah, that's right. Mindfreak spotted out by the alarm bot. Oh, and turns around. Hello, flashbacks there. And with that, an open B side as well for DRX.
Yeah, maybe you can take that gun away that Bane did drop. I mean, Devi's already got that in possession too, right? So we'll see what damage is going to be able to be delivered in this scenario. You're playing towards ultis here as well. You're saying who's going for the plant, freeing, get closer towards an Armageddon. You're never going to mind that with how successive that ultimate can be.
Yeah, all of these just point towards even more rounds for DRX.
Yeah.
You know, closer ultimates, but at the same time, looking at this, the positioning that they are working with so far, you have to imagine at some point just the fact that you don't have these traps around the map. You know, DRX gets to walk around so much.
Yeah.
Mako just into this spot. Okay, gunned down by Devi, but now it's on to flashback, up by mid. Jing at least marks down the position. So a couple kills. That is still a bit of damage being delivered by Paper X.
Yeah, there's a lot of credits, however, for DRX, so they're not going to be too phased on the back of this one. I mean, you'll just take away a death orb, right? So you get a little bit closer towards your ultimates to have a massive round later on, which is kind of the position that we're starting to kind of need from Paper X, though, right? We need a massive round to come out from them because they're going for a little bit of this space control, right? We see it over at B earlier on where there's no DRX members home. We see it in this pistol round where they attempt the same sort of thing, but over at this A site, there's DRX members, but they get shut down, right? So we're kind of seeing, all right, cut PRX a little bit of slack if they go for something like a stack, right? I wouldn't mind seeing them go for a bit of a stack, go for a full retake if DRX do not go towards their site. But also in a stack scenario, don't get too aggressive. You got a lot of this utility that you can stall DRX out, and if you make them reset, you buy yourself a lot of time.
That's exactly what Paper X has to do. Here it comes, quick dashes in, ooh, but instantly gunned down. The entire Korean squad will deny Forsaken any early space. Spike dropped into safe positions as well. The Armageddon sent through. Mindfreak being able to hold down the entire B by himself. Hello, that's good. And at the same time now, continuing to push out front. Devi off the null command, unfortunately gunned down. Still kind of ringing through, pulsing away with his ultimate, but his teammate now coming back in for support.
Sniffing things out with the drone as well. Feels like you're not going to be able to get Devi back on up. The trade starts to coming out. It's all Mindfreak.
As his head gets revealed as well. Flashback trying to work around it. Still looking to play the objective. The spike will go down. Mindfreak just tries to delay a little bit further with the snake bite. Might be able to gun himself through. He hears the tap at the very least, but not quite finding a position. Still has to watch out for flashback. There it is, at least the first kill. Nanoswarms instantly popped, and flashback looks to play around the wall, but Mindfreak, steady as ever, will spot him out. An entire ace in the round being picked up by the Indonesian player.
Individual moments. Generally memorable in Valorant, right? For Paper X, that is an important one in this series right now to get back in towards this map, hopefully. To start with a foot in front of the other on this map. Mindfreak to do it all. And you got to remember as well, right? I'm saying at the beginning of this round, if you're going for a stack, not to get too aggressive, because we haven't really seen too much success for setting up Forsaken on the back of these waylay positions, right? He gets on in, but there's too many DRX members that look at that position because there's a quick time, right? To get that gun out. But I think more importantly, Mindfreak planted his feet around that B site. He knew where they were coming from. He knew Marco was going to be lurking up towards Kitchen or somewhere in that round, and he found what he needed to.
And that's what you gotta love. Now, although Forsaken with a waylay instantly dashes onto the top of Tube, doesn't see anything though. And that's where his refract gets called out. Mindfreak comes back in just to help out his fallen teammate. At the same time though, DRX still working all the ways around the map. Flashback takes down the next player, Something.
Yeah, but you immediately just turn tail and run over towards the A side because you got the kill here from the back of Flashback, from the shadows to quickly get a plant. This buys so much time in the rotation actually from Paper X right now. Device low. Mindfreak has a pit, but you got to get into the site to even try and use that. I wouldn't be surprised if you just go for a save here.
It's going to be tough. DRX having all that time, they've already set themselves up in towards further positions. So you are absolutely right. It's just a little bit too risky, especially at this point in the first half.
I do like, again, the idea that Paper X have these plans of action for what Waylay is to provide, right? When you're trying to light speed over towards the tube, you're trying to find some timing in combination with a flash, right? So you'll be seeing Divide try and set up a flash drive with right timing to get that peek over to find anybody who's lurking into mid, where Marco has been playing so much this map so far, right? But he just kind of holds W, shifting up, gets in front of that utility. You see generally really timing needed though with the flash drive or with players around the world playing
That's the thing, Komodo, because you know, although these combos can work out, they haven't really gotten the right reads to figure out where DRX are.
Or timing, right? So those flashes, they have to be timed to perfection, because if that flash drive that'll come out is not timed right, you're either not getting any flash value against your opponents or you're flashing Forsaken at that moment, and he needs a little bit of time by that flash for his equipment, right? He needs to get that gun up. So a nice idea, execution not really there.
Yeah, it could have been, workshopped a little bit further, but at the same time, I mean, right now, just playing for that information game, DRX have been slipping under their noses every single round. You know, whether it's back onto the other end of the sites. This time, though, Forsaken will be able to sneak up onto Nest and get one for free.
Yeah, freeing down. That's a lot of your scaling utility to sniff out what's around the site down as well. Now you'll just play by the numbers. Doubling up in towards the elbow. When you've got a little bit of lesser equipped players, you know, something only down onto the Sheriff, you need to see a little bit of corners be cut, but you're not really seeing too much from Paper X. An opening kill, and then everyone's just covering a base.
Setup. Just trying to mark for it as well. Off angles all being held. Swaps up over onto the top of pipes. That's Mako down. The next player as well, Forsaken, just throwing off crosshair placements with a refract. And Bane trying to stay alive. Spots up Forsaken, but the Salvos continue to bomb away at his position. Forsaken in with a quad.
Really quick utility to come out from him as well. I love that that Saturate comes out, just provides him enough time to reposition his aim to go for these multi-frags too. They didn't overcook things in that round as Paper X. Pretty followable. Sending in Forsaken to find the opening kill, resetting yourselves as a team. If DRX, you know, rotate over towards the B site, you've still got players there because you haven't bit the bullet and rotated early enough as well. Really good resilience to come through for Paper X here.
That's exactly what they've needed so far. Scoreline might be a little bit similar to the previous map right now, and so I would be looking very much forward to a Paper X comeback. Keep it simple, Smarty Pants, and that's what they're looking to do. Still, though, a 2-2-1 split in with a Viper's Pit around the A site.
Oh, but look at this, quick. Wow. Up through mid, Bane on towards something. That's immediately going to send the guys back over towards the B side as well, because a pit, generally at this A site, if you can try and get over it, and you're not detected, you can crunch on towards Mindfreak in a potential split. So the onus really is on Paper X here to get some information in the next couple of moments to try and bring a little bit more stability back in towards this round.
They haven't quite been able to do so, though. Instead, in fact, it is DRX getting the information in with the stealth drone out. Still, though, wow, look at this setup. A bit outside the window, it turns out to be a high-low lockdown in place as well now.
Yeah, and that lockdown is going to flush Mindfreak out of his pit, so that's an ultimate for an ultimate exchange and affords you a little bit of time to get a plant. Meanwhile, Marco finds the timing on the flank as well, and Hunman found Mindfreak too.
Yeah, and off those positions now, Paper X find themselves in a tougher spot. Forsaken just having to hold outside. Needs to look for Mako before he even gets close to screens. Sends in the stun though, and that's the headshot through. Off to the other end, it's just Jing trying to work alongside his brother, basically. In with the ult, but it doesn't quite find anyone. Might just give him a bit of space, but is it going to be enough? A frag through, Jing goes for the tap. Forsaken onto the other side, but no! Freeing spots him out instead! A double kill to close out the round, and DRX find yet another one on the board.
if DRX members were playing on the side itself, that convergent pass would have been great, right? Remove their ability to essentially shoot back and reposition around that A site, and then maybe you get a really good retake happening on in. But the fact that DRX just get themselves out of the site, start to play a little bit more post-planty-like, right? They kind of recognize that that ultimate is available, and generally you would either see one of two positions where that might go. Cutting off the site of elbow in towards jail, or towards the site itself. And unfortunately for Paper X, it was the latter and didn't really catch anyone. Into a new gun round, however, and it's again an immediate control of wanting to attempt pipes.
Yeah, we do have 0 point from Devi already clearing out B main though, so straight back in towards A. Everyone's kind of flooding back through. Guns in hand, Forsaken for the info. No shot found exactly, but still, at least he confirms that where DRX is heading towards. Back into it, that's a bit of a snake bite, but Jing holds true. Hino, what is this? All the way towards the back of Raptors, and he finds a couple. Now down to it, Something and Mindfreak trying to reclaim space, but timing's already been lost and afforded to DRX. Viper's Pit up and online.
Timing now, it's timing for Something. How far forward can he get to try and offset this deficit?
Yeah, trying at the very least, but working up around pipes is just too much to clear. Mako slips out of the Viper's Pit and takes down his counterpart. Mindfreak goes down. And there it is, last round of the first half, Komodo.
Good assists from Devi in there. Flash drives to Permini's team to get a couple of kills, but you overlook the fact that Bane can TP across and jump over, right? He gets behind him, some trades to come out from him as well, and just look at it. I mean, a double kill to come out really sets up the team for a strong post plant when you consider that a pit is available as well. DRX a really good grasp at the moment, I feel like, with some shakeups, sure, on how to deal with this Forsaken aggression. And when he sees too many numbers, he does just dispatch out of that one too. So last round of the half right now, kind of similar story.
And I think that's one of those weaknesses that we start to see as well alongside this refract, right? It takes time for you to travel all the way back to a further back to the position. And with that, DRX then gets the flood in. So at the same time now, even with the toxic screen, even with the setups, is it gonna be enough? DRX gets to plant the spike down on site.
And both teams have the Armageddon at the moment too, so it really comes down to the value that you're gonna be able to find behind this.
And off of that now, not just a plant, some ultimates online as well. Jing might have the Armageddon, but Fring has his as well, so they go in towards the back, looking for Fring instead, and just as right, they managed to take him down. Bane now trying to hold back. The Armageddon gets sent through. Not quite finding Bane though, but he does kind of reposition even further in. The clock continues to tick against Paper X, but Forsaken makes quick work. Further strays, and he gets another tap. 2 kills already, and now Hyunmin in for another. Something alongside Jing, and they've spotted every single thing out. Paper X bent, but not quite broken. They will get the final round in this first half.
He's on 5 HP, and he still finds 2 kills. That is very quick trigger shots to come out from him there. Something that we would generally associate with him, right? But not on a Waylay so far. Not too much value, I gotta say, that you're getting out of it. You're not convincing value that you would say why Waylay is an argument to play instead of a Jet, for example, or a Raze, for example, on a couple of the other maps in the pool. But we're starting to see some value here and there. It's learning. It's a new agent. You got to find strengths. You got to find weaknesses. And this is again, Paper X shaking things up. New agents to come out for them. Shifts in roles. But the fundamentals taking space. Switching it up between speed, between patience. We're seeing a lot more patience come out from them at the moment.
Which is, kind of lovely. You might say that the start of the season is the best time to really try something new and experiment a little bit. And that is what we've known Paper X to do, to be creative, to be innovative. It's lovely to see, but you just need them to keep themselves in the game, not really let the pressure get to them. That's why I really want to think that as fans, if you were a true fan, you wouldn't want to call him a fraud. You just want to keep on supporting them no matter what they do. And just hope that one day they truly come back in their true form. At the same time, though, as you mentioned, fundamentals, my oh my, DRX. How clean do they look, especially with the start of this first half? It's like 6 rounds straight in a row before dropping anything.
Yeah, and then you're going a little bit backwards and forwards, and no one's really finding consecutive rounds until the 2, kind of the later stage for DRX. But again, your job's kind of done for what you needed to find in your first half, right? Now you shift your mentality into playing a little bit more defensive DRX, and the difference that they have is an actual Sentinel, right? So I'm going to be keen to see what Flashback is going to do, what positions he's going to be playing around the map. I mean, more importantly, covering off mid, covering off B, and in general.
That's exactly what they've got with their toolkit. So right now, just a default toxic screen, one out from PaperX as well. Continue to tap away, but not finding anything too much around mid.
Toxic screen up, can permit a safe passage across as well and just obfuscate what Hyunmin can see. So if you're talking about some protocols, these are the things that, you know, are kind of bread and butter when it comes to Icebox.
Wow. Drone up as well. Hyunmin tucks himself into the corner. Whoa! Wait, Forsaken knew where he was, but he was still able to get the headshot nonetheless. In with the timing on the recoil. Still, PaperX will continue to push on through with a bit of a contact play. Something Jing just flooding back sight. They managed to get it done. The spike gets planted. Mako arrives towards screens at the right time, but needs to spot everyone out. Toxic screen comes up though, and that's where now PaperX gets to hang back. Mako has got quite a bit of work cut out for him.
Absolutely. I mean, you'll take some decay going through that as well, so you really want to try and not do that if you're in a 1 versus 3. Now position being spotted, I mean, this is going to be extremely difficult for Mako.
Okay. Well, he has been known to pull off insane clutches, but I don't think it's going to happen quite in this round. PaperX, they have him completely surrounded, especially with something making the long trip all the way up mid towards his back. So PaperX trying to find themselves back in the game, and so far starting out pretty well.
Yeah, big strength in numbers as well when they start to find the kills around the site after Hyunmin was able to get the open up. So all of them barraging through the smokes or the walls together and setting yourself up for a pretty nice post lane, right? You're always going to kind of follow in the narrative that if you're at a deficit in a map of Valorant, you need to find the pistol, especially if you're something like an 8-4, a 9-3, or albeit like a 10-2 and further on. So the 9-3 here, the fact that PRX are actually able to find the pistol round, and hopefully this second round for them will start to get them a little bit more confident in towards this.
Confidence, a very much needed resource. Forsaken though right now feeling a little bit of confidence as well, does spot out his opponent Bane just right up around 410. That's going to be the site for PaperX. Quick plants in through, and DRX on towards the pistols, just looking for whatever they can get.
Pretty much. I wouldn't mind something getting activated in these duels as well to get closer to a Hunter's Fury. He's 2 off.
Does have the Vandal. Still though, he's playing into a very defensive position. It's gonna be Jing holding the off angle instead. Forsaken with a bit of a, well, just an angle in towards Raptors. Spots out 1. Continues to push forward off of a bit of utility, and that's gonna be Flashback taking him down now. Davai alongside Jing. Okay, spotted out by Mako. Don't want to lose too much here, guys. It's going to be Mind Freak now off towards the back of mid, spotting out yet another player. No real exits quite yet simply found for DRX. And just Flashback now stuck inside of mid. Yeah, we did lose another player in that process, Komodo.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, imagine a world in which everybody disconnected from the site and you're somehow able to pilfer a defuse out there. No, something's kind of looking after that one from the back of the rafters. One away from the Hunter's Fury. And the way that they've just kind of dealt respect in towards this A side as well and commanded the respect, rather, I wouldn't be surprised if he's either getting a pick or an orb or plane or something, and then they can play a Hunter's Fury in a post lane in this bonus round. And that's what this is, right? It's a bonus round. We actually got some pretty good damage as DRX in the previous round. So setting up for this round now, you're looking towards all the Vandals. An Outlaw was seen though. So for Mind Freak, you got to consider that's in play. We've got to go for full shields. Are we playing off and losing any bits of utility because of that?
Not too much for now. They're still playing on defense, of course, and now in with the ascended position, Hyunmin will be able to pick 2 off. Just like a eagle soaring through the skies now. PaperX scrambling, looking for some sort of safety, but I don't know if it's going to be found, Komodo. I mean, take a look at the minimap.
Yeah.
Freeing is all the way up towards down mid.
And you've got no quick availability to get across in towards yellow either here, right? So you kind of need to combine a dart and a good shot. You need an overextension here, essentially, from DRX to kind of give you ways back into a round for PaperX.
Yeah, you said it during the halftime break. Fundamentals is what DRX does so well, and they're doing that all across the map. Mako holding down around yellow. It allows Hyunmin to push into a further position as well, and at this point, something just has to peek, go for anything. Finds a double, which is pretty good for now. 40 seconds left on the clock.
Is this where it gets scary?
Maybe. He is continuing to play it safe, though. Gave a bit of a jump peek. The paranoia sent through, and not suspecting something will get caught out by Mako.
Well navigated round from DRX. I'm a little bit surprised that there's no Aldrone immediately from Forsaken or no, you know, Teo utility as well to come out from B main, because that's one of the general things that you start to see in Icebox, right? If you're not blocking out the vision of somebody on top yellow, either through drone, through smoke, through flashes, they're just going to have free reign to get the kills, and that's exactly what Hyunmin was able to do. So we might see that change up a little bit quickly for Paper X if they want to contend with this B site in the next couple of rounds as well. But, you know, at least good to see for DRX's side that a round that should generally go their way, a bonus round does.
Yeah, they just continue to get to orchestrate their movements across the map this way, but with that Hunter Trigger from the previous round, here it comes, something looking to force DRX to scramble on the A site. Meanwhile, Forsaken straight in with a light speed. Stinger in hand, he closes in the distance. 2 headshots and Mind Freak off on another.
Playing that weapon to a T. Stinger straight in. I'll add on the back of that Hunter's Fury tagging him up as well, right? Recognizing that you can quickly go in towards that one and materialize an A site control. That's really good from Paper X.
Yeah, I would say that those headshots are as crisp as a Coke with max ice on a summer day. What else is crisp, Komodo?
His headshots.
Yeah, Mako's headshots as well. It's definitely something to work against DRX. You know, those fundamentals stay true.
Yeah, that's a quick one as well to come out from Paper X, right? So when you think about previous rounds being a little bit slower, you catch DRX off guard, don't have enough time to get any other members over towards the site, you kind of need the members that are there trying to bunker down A to do something. And I mean, addition of Waylay, right? Teams are trying to also figure out if they're going to play against him. How does this Saturate actually play? If you get spotted out, right, and Forsaken throwing that Saturate over towards you, you're not going to be able to do too much if you don't already have an established crossfire. So just a little bit of utility difference in that mark, working a treat towards Paper X, and to set themselves up for this next round as well. I mean, you're starting to see, you know, attacking sided rounds, them figuring out momentum, them figuring out what layering of utility that they may need to do in a round that they can't rely on an ultimate in the beginning to open something up.
See, it works out because you've got these smokes, and it just allows for Forsaken to get into a safer entry. And that's the support that we were all looking for. That said, though, you only have that many chances. Termi now in with a timeout. You know, certainly you can bet that he might be cooking up some kind of a defensive setup to work against a potential assault being launched by Forsaken. You know, you mentioned the refract. As long as you have, you know, a secondary player to mark some of these possible dive spots, shall we call them, they can always gun down Forsaken, even though the stun might get sent through.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking towards anything like a recon from your Sova, from a drone from a Teo, if you 0-point them, or even if you just spot them, right? That's going to allow a lot of ability for yourselves to just send Forsaken in and hopefully find a kill, if your team's also looking at the other positions where you would expect a crossfire to be, right? So it's never going to be a bad idea, but coming in towards a new round, right, I'm talking about these ultimates try and open something up, which is what we saw in the last round from something. It can be a very different look when you've got a Waylay here and you're convergent pathing in. That can cut off pretty much half of this A site.
That is factual. Shall see how that might work out in the upcoming round. Salvos, both sides instantly traded off. Does buy a little bit of time for DRX to get into closer positions. Bane from the shadows onto the top of pipes.
Starting to get a little bit of your scaling utility in towards the site, and you are just going to Waylay ult right on in. As I said, cuts off half of the site.
Right behind you. Well, that's Forsaken, but Bane, okay, he just leaves it to his teammates. Forsaken continuing to get further space, trusting his teammates to watch his back. Bane does go down. Divine now continuing with the push in towards back site. 2 kills to his belt, and that's now Hyunmin trying to work alongside screens. A good kill to start things off, though.
2 players really low, Something and Devi. Those are the ones on the site at the moment, with Mind Freak to get a bit of a flank.
That's exactly what he's looking for. Finds the timing on the peak as well. Just gets off it, and not suspecting Hyunmin, and that's going to be another round for Paper X.
And a non-conversion as well for DRX on the back of the timeout in the previous round here too. So Paper X, again, it is a round that they are able to convert, opening it up with an ultimate. I really like the idea from them as well. Convergent pass on in. Anyone that is going to be stuck in that, well, they're essentially going to be dead to rights. And then you start to shift focus on towards the right side of the site. And you've got strength in numbers there. You've got everybody with guns up. No one picking out utility where they don't need to. There's a strong game plan for how to attack that round as Paper X, because they were afforded time to talk about how they wanted to do it.
That's exactly what those Coach Alex timeouts will do. off of successful A rounds. Now we're back in towards B. And with DRX playing in towards defensive positions, Forsaken gets to go all the way up front. Ooh, tag down to 1 HP by Mako, though. Still, the spike at least goes down. Hyunmin in with the blades, looking for something, but nothing found.
Got to get in there. Got to get set up somehow to try and work these blades as well.
Oh, and look at this. All that happens at the same time. Mindfreak once again back into mid to try to set up something towards the back. Still though, bit of a shock dart through and in with low HP. It's gonna be a couple of kills coming back in, back and forth, all around yellow. Fraying tries to work around the position, but it's not gonna be enough as Paper Rex has the entire thing completely surrounded.
Yeah, just an eco to come through from DRX, not able to play too much on the back of Hyunmin's blades either, not really able to set him up. When you're playing a kind of flashless comp, right? Disregard the paranoia that's a bit of an uncommon position in a map like Icebox. You don't see Noman too much. There's not a lot of availability to you know, flash drive over or something like that towards yellow to set him up to go for a peek and really just re-blade everybody over at B long. So you kind of need to set him up a different way, and in this position, it's kind of a little bit drier when you're just sending in the stealth drone to spot what you can, remove abilities. Paper X have a good grasp on what they need to do to defend the site there. And now, importantly, we're getting into a new, fresh gun round. No salvos in the beginning of this round. Bane is pushing up on towards the belt, so there's going to be a very fast flank available, actually, towards this B side here.
Yeah, very quickly. Still though, Paper X controlling down mid does work out for them so far. Forsaken continuing onward with that refract. Does get further information, but look at this, Bane all the way down mid, down A. He's able to take away at least 2. The Armageddon now gets sent through.
Yeah, stalling for time at the moment to afford a bit of rotations and re-clearing in towards mid if there was anybody else there. Now you got a player advantage as DRX as well.
Okay, a bit of a stun, but nothing quite found. Jing at least disperses the positioning, and on with that, a bit of an Armageddon set through as well. Forsaken now off of the initial ult, will be able to find another player playing all around the bottom though. It's gonna be Mako working alongside Hyunmin, but still, something alongside Jing will do what is needed.
Really nice ultimate to come through from Jing there, actually, to dislodge Freeing, who was in his own salvos on the arm pad there. A little bit unfortunate, but it's what you need to see, right? If you're at a player deficit in that sort of scenario, you need to see somebody either rely on some positioning or a good decisive call. And in this moment, it's a bit of utility combinations to come on out. When you see those salvos come from that position as well, you got a little bit of a disconnected play at the tail end for the remainder of the kills for Paper X there. So starting to really build some stability in towards this attacking side within one. And we've only seen one defense round, the bonus round so far, come through for DRX.
Paper X are feeling themselves. It's definitely a really tough opponent to work against, and that's one thing that we've got to consider as well, is the fact that some of these DRX players haven't quite played against Paper X like this before, perhaps in scrims, but not quite on the official stage. Still though, Hyunmin aggressively in towards Garage. He is stuck, flashed up as well, and it does buy a bit of attention away. Paper X looking to reclaim space, and then the Poison Cloud comes up.
Yeah, and everybody was kind of in mid for DRX at that moment too, so where do you scurry towards? Where do you think that Paper X are actually going to lean? An ult orb to be gathered over at the B side and setting yourselves up for a bit of a hit here. Null command on in, remove any abilities of DRX and try to set up for a flank that is absolutely red at the moment from Jing.
And that is exactly what Paper X needs now, a little bit more control. Still though, those pistols, flashback, a couple of headshots through, not quite, and it's gonna be Paper X still able to work off the trade. Something is the last man standing, but Paper X tying up the score 10-10.
That gets quite close, doesn't it there? All of the trades starting to come in, a couple of loose shots out of those Sheriffs as well, working a treat for DRX there, but yep. At the end, Paper X, as you mentioned, will tie things up 10 apiece, and they are definitely in this map on Icebox right now. They have brought the momentum in their favor, and they're transitioning into a round where you kind of feel like for DRX, they have to command something themselves with their rifles, with their ultimates. They have to try and find some early space, some early reads, and that's what they're going to try and do over to the A site nice and early.
Salvos definitely going to aid them in that cause, but at the same time, Paper X not allowing for them to set up. It's the Hunter's Fury. Still though, Forsaken was already gunned down by Hyunmin, and that allows for DRX to breathe.
Yeah, Freeing doesn't want to overplay this one either. Go for a repeat and potentially lose his head. You've got that number open up with Forsaken losing his life. And this is where the round would start to settle a little bit. Maybe let DRX think that you're going to go for a little bit of a rotation, but Hyunmin hasn't spotted Devi leave the belt at the moment. So you do start to consider, with footsteps, with the abilities, that they are hanging around this A site for the moment.
And very much so, especially with that 0 point, but all of a sudden now PaperX continues with the aggression. Mindfreak, Devi, they've managed to push up through. The Viper Spit gets deployed, and as though Flashback tries, it's not going to be quite enough. And that's going to be the spike now planted. Mako just looking for the sprays. It's 3 targets ahead of him, Komodo, but you don't have vision, you don't have information.
Yeah, it's great patience from PaperX when they do lose Forsaken and recognize how do they need to get back in towards this site, right? Let DRX potentially overcook it a little bit, use some utility on their own, or wait for your own signatures to come back online. And that's the latter is what PaperX do. They let their 0 point come back on, they let their salvos as well, which Jing does still hold right now, and you go in together as a unit, looking for the crossfires. Very standard. Overwhelmed DRX, who get a little bit antsy when Flashback is losing his teammates. He wants to try and go something, and a loose spray through the pit. Vandals are traced. PaperX in this map now, their own map pick. Well, they take the lead.
Yeah, by 1 round. We shall see if that continues to build up to even more. Hopefully it does. DRX have been looking for, a couple of solutions. They are still sitting on a timeout, so that hasn't quite been used yet. But as you mentioned from before, trying to get ahead of PaperX, PaperX still managed to get ahead of it, thanks to, I gotta imagine, just Forsaken on the waylay, right? He was able to dash in, to break some lines, the Hunter's Fury being pulled out as well, and that just forced DRX to kind of reset. And with that reset, PaperX came back in with Devi and Mindfreak working alongside one another. Still though, as I mentioned, the timeout now gets deployed.
Yeah, from DRX as well. So you definitely want to see this one converted in the next. It didn't get to last time, right? So on the waylay point, right? You generally want to see the waylay go in, get a kill, you're refract out, and you've provided enough space and info for your team to follow you in and then trade roles, right? Essentially, you get your initiators or your sentinels or your controller to go on in. That's a general idea here. But the fact that that's not what happens in this round, you stop, you pause for a moment, you rethink, and then you re-clear in towards the site. It's another option that waylay isn't just this dive in and get out, job's done for your team, right? There's more to the story that PaperX can tell us right now with this agent composition.
They picked it for a very good reason. So we shall see how it does continue to play out across the map. Pick up this win, and it's going to be map point. DRX, though, sitting on quite the number of ultimates.
Yeah, well, same can be said for Forsaken here, right? We saw good success when the Convergent Pass was used over at the A site last time. If you're going in with the same sort of methodology, will it work here to get yourselves on map point?
Still at least starting things off a little bit slow. Look at Mindfreak all the way towards the back of spawn as well, in case anyone pushes out of mid. DRX hasn't done that quite yet, especially off the timeout. PaperX trying to be cautious. You gotta love it.
Yeah, but for DRX as well, right? A little bit lesser equipped on the weaponry to afford themselves a good buy in the next round if this one goes haywire, because that would be map point then. So you're just playing a little bit of default heavy. What information do you see from PaperX before you start to make a move? And at the moment, it might be a money move, Quack.
Money move it is! Just straight in with the ultimate. Well, no.
I love that. Refract just popped over on pipes, and he's sending in a snake spite so that if he goes for a challenge, takes any damage and refracts back, there's a time that he has where he's stuck in that refract and he might die towards that molly. So that's a really good counter, quickly recognized for DRX.
Still though, at the very least, PaperX has managed to kind of avoid that for now. Looking for that mid-round play down, well, mid lane. They do spot a player out though, and Forsaken looking for the opportunity to possibly set the ultimate, but not quite yet, as DRX have all of these positions locked down, especially up by Upper, especially up by Kitchen now. Forsaken looking to push on through. Time is of the essence, but at the same time, DRX, they might not have best guns, but they're still holding a lot of these positions. PaperX, Forsaken trying to break on through. There's the ult, finally gets popped. 10 seconds remaining though. Where is the spike? Forsaken now gets into safety. Finally getting the bomb now down, delivered through. Bane though,
I know he's stuck.
Quick and through, and he's found Mindfreak. Mako trying to work along the position, plays around the safe angle, quick strays back and forth, but Forsaken, he actually finds it. Down to just Bane, but where could he be? Oh! A little bit wider than before! And Forsaken finds the headshot, a quad kill in the round, as well as a clutch brought to you by the bull with the horns.
Red Bull clutch to come out from Forsaken. I mean, what? He got 2 kills earlier on in the map with 5 HP. This time it's 6, but it's the clutch to come from him at the end there. I was thinking to myself in this scenario, it's a 2 versus 2, right? You can't really get a good crossfire at the moment there for DRX when you're going for that one. And then, I mean, you make it a more winnable scenario when you get it into a 1 versus 2. And Forsaken just rips your heads off. That is absolutely pivotal for PRX here.
7 rounds in a row, now sitting at map point. Still though, that was an eco round from DRX. Now they're trying back another cheeky position up on top of yellow. Hyunmin has done it before, but now spotted out. Safer play coming out from PaperX.
All that utility just dumped on towards him, and he hasn't been able to get out of yellow, but somehow he's able to find it whilst hindered. He needs assistance from his teammate, but he's just going to do it all himself. Traded eventually in a 3 versus 3.
He pulled out the blades, but yeah, unfortunately gunned down. Still though, up around yellow. Can PaperX find enough footing, enough space to get the spike down? Not quite, because they gotta imagine DRX already have rotated over.
Marco's been holding on to this Viper's pit for quite a while as well, so you might look to see him use it this round if they do need.
Yeah, PaperX possibly trying to bait it out, but still off the tap. Jing up around yellow does spot out one of these players. That's gonna be Bane. At the same time, given how the map is playing out, it's gonna be Mindfreak slowly creeping up all the way out tube. DRX has no earthly idea. Mako, though, tries to play the position, but it's not going to be enough. Jing still up around yellow. It's going to be the kill. It's going to be the final score, 13-10.
Lots of aggression on that attacking side to come through from PaperX, but I think I was way more impressed in how they're managing the aggression with the stopping power as well from them, right? Both in terms of Forsaken getting active, the rest of the team getting active there as well, but being more passive. I think this is a new look to PaperX at the moment where they're recognizing in the map what is working against DRX currently, who are usually the more methodical team, right? PaperX are usually more sporadic at the moment, and I think that's coming out in terms of their agent changes, right? The role changes, the picks that they're coming out with right now. But in the map itself here, that attacking side, they didn't actually do too much wrong in terms of beginning, middle, and end of the rounds, with even losing opening kills.
Yeah, it was mostly the defensive half where they kind of struggled a little bit, but like you mentioned, once they swapped over onto this attacking side, especially with that waylay at the helm, at the tip of the spear, the entire team started to figure out more options, started to figure out more ways to work against DRX's defensive setups. Like you mentioned,
Thank you, Komodo and Quack. Yes, these seats are comfortable, but I am not. Fans of PaperX, we are now re-experiencing experiencing the heart attack feeling. And you can see why when, the coin flips, you're like, all right, this makes a lot more sense on attack.
Yeah, when you go into that second half, you're okay to leave gaps because, PRX can group together, they can death ball, so leaving gaps isn't a problem and you have a lot of util to just kind of punch that side with.
Yeah, so I'm, at this point, now that we will be getting a map 3, after all, Lotus, things could be changing here too. This map obviously isn't new, but it has evolved a lot, and I think it's another one of those maps that have changed. But before any of that, of course, there's still so much to break down on Icebox.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about new things. I wanted to touch on the Waylay, and we look at a lot of the opening portions of this round. This is a full set play with all of the utility, and the Waylay just gets donated. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's either you get a first kill or you lose a first kill, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, there was some very fancy, flashy plays going on, and then the Waylay would just die for free.
I think it highlights the difference between Waylay and Jet, right? Jet is a lot safer because you're kind of going forward into your smokes. Waylay doesn't quite have that. This was a time where it worked a lot better, where Waylay actually seemed a little bit better than Jet. You can take this deep angle, and instead of having to dash out, you just magically float your way backwards. So really great understanding from PRX.
Yeah, the refract. This was actually a set play that PRX loves to go aggressive down middle and down B long, consecutively at the same time. And you see, in this case, unfortunately, something's caught a little bit out of position, and again, they lose a first pick doing those kind of very aggressive plays, but you see the potential of it, the KO flash from Boiler up over the top, and you get a double dash from the Waylay straight down B long, and within 5 seconds of the round, you have a Waylay in a very, very deep position, and that is the aggressive potential of the Asian. MVP going over to Forsaken, who was, the player to play the duelist here, and I'm wondering if that's going to be something that they're kind of settling in structure-wise, because we've seen him, as we mentioned before, be very flexible in terms of his Asian pool, but so far he's been the player to play duelist, and I think you're a bit surprised, Vic, that he wasn't on the Waylay because he's been so good on Jet, right?
Oh, absolutely. Not Jet necessarily, but there are other players on PaperX who are excellent Jet players, such as Something. So to have Forsaken on the Waylay instead of Sova and, playing it the way they did, but you know what, it obviously worked out, and Jason is just the GOAT.
I think it poses a big question as we move towards Lotus as well, because Lotus is traditionally a Raze map, right? And we know how great Jing's Raze is. So is Jing gonna, he's been flexing, he played Teo, he played Omen, is he gonna go back to his Raze roots for Lotus?
I mean, PRX, this is the double duelist comp for the longest time. This is Forsaken on that Sky. They've gone into a little bit of new meta, mixing in the Vice. I mean, this is still the core of a very popular comp right now. And I think they're able to play the Sky just simply instead of the Fade single init that you see over on the side of, well, not on the side of DRX, but other teams that play single init do prefer the Fade. But you get a lot more of that fact finding, you get a lot more of that info finding with the Jet and just being aggressive and bullying your way onto those lines and getting aggressive around the map. But for DRX, they love this Fade Teo, they love this double init. They can mix in whether they're playing the Viper, which didn't go so well for Flashback, then they played the Vice, which also he kind of struggled a little bit on. This hasn't been a fantastic map for him, so we'll see what we're going to get from DRX on this map in particular, because Lotus has been kind of a hit or miss one for them, but for PRX, they're going to have fond memories of Lotus. They smashed Zeta on this map, and that was the map where I was like, okay, PRX lost that close game, but we're all good, right? They just smashed Zeta Division. Surely they're going to make a run through the rest of the lower bracket. That's what everyone was thinking on that last Lotus game. That's not what ended up happening, unfortunately.
Even before kickoff, PaperX has historically smashed on Lotus.
Yeah.
So they have figured out a formula that generally works, and usually it's a double duelist of some sort. So I do wonder if they are going to stick to that same formula, but it also just, the Kings of Chaos, this is not their way. I expect something to be a little bit different here going to Lotus. Just,
I mean,
new things.
Even for DRX, we didn't see it there because we're looking at the kickoff data, but they played a different comp again on Lotus over in Champs.
Yep. They
They were playing like Yoru, Cypher, Breach kind of comp, which we've seen from a couple of teams, and we've seen that combo be very, very popular, and something that even, I remember I was talking to you before we even did kick off, and you were thinking Yoru was going to be very popular with Vice coming in, and this is a very popular Vice map, so maybe that was the thinking for DRX over at Masters.
Yeah, I think both these teams have space to get a little bit more experimental now into Lotus. Both, you know, the whole way through this series, they've shown that neither team is afraid of changes here. So coming into Lotus, I think we have a lot to look forward to.
Well, we do have the old Kings of Pacific facing the new Kings of Pacific to find out who could be the king to go against the T1 Kings of Pacific.
Little kings.
Either way, this is
We love our
pretty...
kings.
Yeah, but when it comes to these two, the RXs, the balance, we are getting a full 3-mapper, a full series, and I have to say, we should expect nothing less. I know some of you were not expecting that. Some of you said 2-0.
They could have
The
done it.
crazy
They could've done it.
people.
They could have closed it.
You know.
I'm still confident. DRX have got it. Relax.
Yeah,
We're all
2-1.
good.
It could be a 2-1 DRX, absolutely. But definitely not a 2-0 situation when it comes to the RXs.
All right, well, let's see. I want to see what DRX is going for, whether they're going to stick to their guns of what they played over at Masters, and it's looking pretty similar, although instead of Breach, we're playing, we're going to go towards the Fade, and we're going to go double Duelist again on Flashback on the Yoru.
Across the PRX, they're sticking with Forsaken on that waylay, and it looks great in Icebox. Jing staying on the Omen with Breach Teo as this supportive pair. So it's going to be very active. It's going to be dumping util with sending waylay in a lot like that Icebox, and we saw it work for them there. So I think they're trying to carry that across stylistically.
Again, Freeing's on the Cypher. So this seems to be the new gear of DRX. Double Duelist, Flashback goes onto the secondary Duelist to make way for Freeing to play his signature Cypher. Before Teo came out, he was a comfortable Senti player.
This is really interesting for both sides. Jing is not on that raise. He is on the Omen, just like you were talking about. We're going to send this back to our casters to finish off this series, Komodo and Quack.
That is right. We do love Jing now on the Omen. A little bit more supportive for his brother Forsaken, but at the same time, you know what? There's another king that we all love on Pacific, Seth King.
Oh, that is true. Friendship has ended with Raise Jing. Omen Jing is my best friend.
Yeah, we do start things off already quick into the game with DRX on the attack. A little bit of rubble, also a little bit of pillars as well.
Yeah, well, one thing right now is just the jewels at the front of the B site, and there's a lot of Paper X members here at the moment, and they are going to successfully win that one.
I know, a big old flash as well, Komodo, and that's going to be now Freeing trying to hang back.
Yeah, but look at what Flashback's able to do. Find some space over at the side of rubble. Meanwhile, Freeing is going to dodge out that drone too. So does that give you a false sense of security? Repositions around the map currently for Paper X, more towards the C side of things, and with that damage done in towards Breakable Door, that's gotta let you know that you gotta get away from this A side, or rather get over towards it.
All quick and heavy-handed as well. You know, trade protocols right there outside of the dark cover on towards C, and that leaves, you know, numbers disadvantage for DRX. Even though Flashback has gotten in towards the back of A side, especially towards drop, actually into a deep position like that, do you reckon that they might be able to do something against Paper X?
It's a 2 versus 4. You've got to get a little bit aggressive in this one to try and find some advantage or equalization, which is why Flashback goes up there to try and find the kills. Good for one, but spotting info on the rest means that for Marco, this has to be a big clutch.
Has done it before. Starts out with a bit of a paranoia to flush them into his own smoke. Look at that. Right click through. And now just 2 players on the other end. Ooh, a good little flick, but Jing gets his own as well onto his new role. You know, maybe not quite the utility, but the sharpshooting definitely still true and sound on Jing.
Oh, one in the end for Paper X. They started off well with a lot of those jewels as well, and DRX just dodging a bit of that key utility. Maybe if they doubled down over towards the C site little endeavor that we do see there from Bane, it could have gone a little different way. But all the information spotted on out. Devi getting active nice and earlier on this Tejo role as well. We're talking about these players. We're talking about new roles coming into Stage 1. Are we going to see these sort of agents align with these players? Look, maybe 3 different agents today for Flashback. I mean, I'm looking towards him on the Yoru to really try and find some space on this map to be a pivotal member to propel DRX in. But in a round such as this one where Hyunmin has gone for a buy-up on towards an Outlaw, you have to see him do something.
That's right. Oh, it's something that Forsaken has done before, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, the Outlaw, just to try to work against your opponents who might have light shields. But you're absolutely right as well. You know, Flashback previously the Cypher, now onto the Yoru. So DRX, same composition, but some of the players onto different roles. We'll see how that all settles in as they kind of jiggle on towards Rubble.
There you go. Shut out from Hyunmin on towards Forsaken. So Bane's money so far working a treat. but you've got this time to be bought from the toxic screen, and that's just going to block out operator shots as well, right? This is going to be one of the powerful things that Paper Rex can try and play with. When that toxic screen is up, when it's down, they can sneak operators behind the line.
Fair and true enough, but at the same time, you know, even with that little bit of a fall, PaperX continues to drone outwards. I was thinking maybe something continues to push on through from pillars, but yes, C is completely open now.
Yeah, but they're going to still try and go towards A, and that is where majority of these members of PaperX are. 30 seconds to go. That's a marathon to go over towards this C side, but they're going to start to do that. At least get enough time to try and get the plant and establish it. They've picked up the weapons that are on the floor.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Komodo. I mean, might be a marathon, but even as you just trigger that door a little bit, it keeps PaperX on the A site. Yeah. PaperX are thinking, we've got the guns, we need to work around this. So they are still trying to stack towards this A site, but unbeknownst to them, now it's a 3-on-4. Now it's weapons in the hands of DRX.
And this is one of those weird scenarios as well as PaperX. Do you just consider the save at the moment because it's lesser, you know, numbers to go for this retake where 3 guns are now in possession that have been noted over at DRX's side, and you've got really no big entryway in towards the retake too. No drones. You got what, something with a judge. Yeah, he could try and set you up with a stun or a flash, and Jing can maybe try and get in, or Devaya can, but it just is really difficult. So really well done from DRX to get this this lighter eco round come out from them. And on the flip side for PRX in this scenario, the anti-eco, yeah, a little bit lopsided.
Not the way you want to start. It sucks.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Nothing else that I could say. It sucks for PaperX, but just a masterclass at how DRX was able to work this around, right? Using Forsaken's own play against him, the Outlaw. Sudden angle, and he takes a player down. And also for, was it Mako around C Mount? Like slow creeped up with that right click? That was nasty.
Free gun, by the way. But finding the right timing, right? I got to say, Marco's lurks on Icebox as well as Haven have been absolutely impeccable. So it's great to see that he's still carrying that around on this map where if you're playing towards the C site, right, you're not having a proper sentinel as for PaperX. So you kind of do want to go for a little bit of these peaks here and there. And unfortunately, you're going to have to maybe reel that in a little bit now for Mindfreak.
Yeah. A little bit tough. Maybe just don't hug the wall too much. There's all these things to think about, but at the same time, you know, we've mentioned some of these plays. You do have the Waylay on the hands of Forsaken, and he's gonna dive all the way through. Doesn't spot anything out. Does have the smoke to support him, but at the same time, DRX reads that, and it's a quick flood into the B site. That was a mouthful. Now, on the other side of the smoke, the Prowler sent through. Bane just completely reads it, and he's able to spray and gun down every single player from PaperX. The only one left. Mindfreak spotted up by the Moonbot. Oh, it's gonna be the spray from him in this time, and DRX will make quick work of the round.
Yep, all good from them. I do like the little cheeky bait and switch over at that dark cover in the breakable room though, right? When the Prowler goes over towards it and it bites the player towards the right, player towards the left is the one to swing out immediately to catch him off guard. Well done from Bane, however, though, to just get some individual shots to come out here as well to get towards that Nightfall too. So that's going to be available for round number 4 after a bit of a topsy-turvy start for these guys over on PaperX. But now you're going to go into the standard 1-1-3 for them that they've got the weaponry. Jing's still down on towards a bit of a bulldog here, but more importantly, this is the round for PaperX trying to equalize, and they find the opening kill.
Yeah, quick in with the Outlaw and taken away from Flashback. So just a bit of information. The smoke's out to control A as well, but with that, DRX are keeping some of the PaperX players closer towards the A site. Now they start to extend their legs closer towards C.
Information secured as well, that there's still players lurking around rubble, and you kind of have to give this maybe a little bit of respect. Freeing using both of these cages too. You still have Jing playing on top of rubble. You know, generally it'll be cleared out from some utility from Bane, but they're looking to renegotiate the situation here at the moment. Spreading around towards front of pillars. Forsaken's just playing with fire at the moment, willing his head to fall off.
Or at least just helping to conceal Jing's positioning. So in with that, you know, forcing DRX to trade util for util. The Paranoia gets sent through as well. Refract recalled by Forsaken in towards a safer spot. But here we go, a Nightfall out from Bane. And at the same time, he'll be just lurking, hovering around the B site. He does spot one player out, and that's going to be Devaya that falls. And then DRX to try to aggress in towards the A position, but that's where they get gunned down. The PaperX defensive setup is sound.
Yeah, the Nightfall as well actually hits Jing, so a little bit of a misread on the positions of the PaperX members there, I feel like, for DRX. Marco just stepping straight in towards his death at the moment, and no one else was able to really get a great trade to find any sort of sense of a round opportunity there. So well done for Paper X at the end. These are the sort of rounds that you want to see from them on these defensive sides if you're looking to see some good Valorant in this composition at the moment, and how a Waylay will be incorporated as well. You see the early aggression towards Rubble. Usually you see these Breach Taeho combos currently in the meta, but for a Waylay, you can get the Saturate out as well, or just individually go for the shots. This time, however, Quack, by himself, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, you do need a little bit more support. Unfortunately, the timing on the refract not quite in hand. Paper X, though, with a bit of a, what is this, a 3-1-1 split? They're pushing all the way out C. Sure, that could work out, but they're relegating A over onto DRX.
Yeah, they're going to have a quick retake here towards the A side if they wanted, or rather a quick flank, and now the jig is up. They know, freeing down for the count. Something here, though, has gone unnoted for the time.
Still just to try to keep himself hidden out towards stairs. His team will regroup.
That's cheeky. That actually allowed something to get in towards the dark cover and buy some more time for the rest of the team to start to get over here for the retake.
Oh, okay. Flashback does get back in towards Tree. Hyunmin, though, still holding the position. Arma getting sent through by Divide, but it's not going to help out all too much. Not quite, as DRX continues to hold just the choke points out around Heaven. The shots out from DRX still being able to push PRX back where they come from.
Yeah, everybody knew what angle they needed to hold there when the plant was down for DRX too. No one faltering at that moment too. So really heads up play from them. Not going too aggressive when they realize the priority is just going to be protecting that spike, right? They know where the retakes are going to be coming from, essentially stairs or from Heaven, and they just act accordingly. Really well done. On a round that actually could have been quite damaging for them, had something found some right timing in towards a cutoff from the tree explosion. Now in towards the eco round to come out from Paper X, and they're going to go for a potential dual fight up through C, up through mid.
Doing a thing.
Off with just the pistols. I mean, trying to surprise DRX at the very least. Something will be able to find something with the sheriff that he has. Still though, DRX instantly recognize that and flood the A site.
Yeah, this is where things could get problematic if we see some individual heroics come out from Forsaken.
Don't know if that's gonna come in hand though. He does have the Vandal, one away from the divergent paths. Mind Freak will be able to push on through, and that's going to be an instant sheriff shot being found. Tree being trapped open and goes in with a paranoia as well, but oh, look at that. Counter paranoia coming out from Mako, as well as Bane to hold the position. Mako swings back around on the other end as well, and that's 2 kills. DRX will not go down without a fight.
Yeah, Bane's been pretty good in how he's navigating a couple of these multi-frags here as well, and just helping out with this standard utility at the beginning of the round. It's exactly what you want from a Fade on this map, where you've opted for that instead of the Breach, which is starting to become more common of a pick as well. It was just, again, these eco rounds to come on through. Don't see too much from Paper X, apart from the opening kills there. Everyone a little bit untradeable. But this is the important thing. These are the rounds where you can play with. I mentioned the Viper's toxic screen a little bit earlier on over towards the B and A side of the map. Usually can play good operator plays behind it, but for the beginning stage of this round at the moment, operator's looking at the wrong spot. Mind Freak gets traded out. That's a C site open for the taking for DRX.
Yeah, timing on the refract not quite there once again as well. That's something he's got to watch out for. And in with the C's, it's going to be something that gets tagged up. The next player to fall, the dominoes, they just keep going. Flashback off to another kill up around Waterfall, and that's just Divide left. Alone and cold, the Prowler just seeking his position as well. I mean, this guy's got to hang back.
Yeah. That's just the cascading stumble on the back of that one, unfortunately. When you lose Forsaken and Mind Freak gets traded out, you got some awkward shots from the rest of the team that need to dig deep to try and get you back in towards this round. It's just too quick to try and figure out there, unfortunately, for Paper X and for Divide. Just trying to see if you can take this weapon in towards the next round. You're quite the ways away from your own ultimate too. So the priority is going to be to hold the gun, see what damage you can do in towards the next round. And conversely, I mean, I'm looking at DRX here, Quack, and I'm seeing them swimming in cash at the moment. So they are really good for a couple of gun rounds, and that poses a bit of a problem for Paper X if they're not able to figure out the beginning stages of these rounds to get themselves an opening frag and reset, like what they were doing over on Icebox, for example.
I am quite fond of Scrooge McDuck, so that's exactly what DRX are looking like right now.
Another moment of multi-fragging to come out from some DRX members as well. And yeah, not liking what you're going to be seeing. You'd expect this one to come through from Alex, and that it is. So a conversation to be had for Paper X. What's been working for them so far, right? Having this Waylay, again, it plays very differently to the common meta that we're starting to see. And even then, DRX aren't playing the common meta, technically, that we're seeing, right? They do have options where they can go for, like, C's and nade combos, but we're not really seeing that too much from them at the moment because there's been not enough pressure from Paper X at the chokes to do that.
Yeah, they've been trying to work off some early Waylay plays, but so far just getting punished straight up by DRX, especially with how they've been spreading all across, whether it's C or A, just continuing to keep Paper X at bay.
Well, let's see if this timeout is going to be very impactful for the side of Paper X, or if DRX are just finding some really good momentum on this attacking side and exactly what they need to do in their layering and their progressions around the map. Big old stack from Paper X over towards this A side of things.
Bit of a 1-4.
Mindfreak can drop the Viper's Pit if he gets a little bit sweaty.
Yeah, it's a 1-4 on the other side as well, though, Komodo, so Mindfreak gonna need good sensing for what's on the other side of C really quickly. Instead, he's just gonna use the Poison Cloud for now. As he heads on right back in, Flashback just clearing everything out, so it definitely is going to be heading towards a bit more of a retake setup from Paper X.
Yep. And it should as well. You've got the Convergent Pass, but I'm really liking this from Flashback.
Oh.
Getting up and dirty with a Judge as well is going to be a scary thing.
Yeah, it forces you to just spend a bit of utility or something, anything possible, just to reclaim a bit more space. So Paper X, that's what they're looking for right now. Hence, a couple players up around Mount. DRX knows that though, and Fleeing just marks their backs. DRX continues to hold them further off, and now it's going to be Mako blocking off Waterfall as well. Even with the ultimates, Paper X can't quite get in position until Forsaken finds this one frag off the other side of the doors. However, Flashback has snuck on through as well. A bit of a shot with the Sheriff. Showstopper in at the hands of Hyunmin, and now Jing comes back in. Time not on Paper X's side, and Flashback just plays it safe, hangs away from the shadows just to hold on to that rifle. Paper X kind of in dire straits, Komodo.
Yeah, quite late on that rotation through towards the A site and the flank as well, and unfortunately the fact that the kill goes over towards the Freeing and he's able to just use the hat to get all the information, things go from bad to worse. A 5 versus 3, looking a little bit sticky towards the tailor end of that, but again, you got to just think that the spike is ticking away way too far at the end of it, and the investment of those ults at the end there kind of for naught, bar saving the gun as you mentioned for Jing, and you look at what they're going in towards this new round with. Lots of light shields, a Guardian in the mix as well. They need to cut a couple of corners to be able to get in towards a round such as this, and that is a great haunt to come on out to provide Flashback the opener.
Yeah, quick sprays all the way. Now a flash instantly in towards the other end of tree. Something just trying to refill that space, but at the same time, there's just so much being done by DRX so far.
Yeah, and I mean, this is only going to be a 1v3 setup for Paper X, where you've got the pit over towards C, and you're just going to forget about that as DRX. You're just going to sniff around the A site and what you can do. Flashback does get taken out, though, by Jing, so we do equalize for the moment.
Oh, straight back into the door. That smoke, it just blocks off so much and allows for Hyunmin to walk away with the kill. If that pit falls, that's going to be trouble for the C side as well, so Mindfreak just still trying to hover around it. But as soon as that kill goes off, Paper X starts to get a read that DRX is rotating off to the only other part of the map, and that's going to be the B site. As that happens, Mako into a bit of an off angle, does force a bit of a trade. Jing might be able to find it, but instantly Freeing finds the positioning right back against Paper X.
And another lone member forced to capitulate for Paper X now. See if you can take another weapon in towards the next round. It really stumbles in the beginning, doesn't it? When Forsaken loses his life first, it's just really quick to come out for the rest of DRX in how they get the rest of that round. A couple of trades to come on through, overwhelming force in towards A, you have Freeing, sleuth in towards the B site, recognize no one's there, and that's a quick call to just say, hey guys, come over here, we got a free site, let's just play the round to the numbers, and well now they'll be winning out this half no matter what.
And that's just been the pattern for like the past 3 or 4 rounds. We constantly see Forsaken trying to initiate something, possibly, you know, alongside ARC, but he keeps getting gunned down.
And by himself as well is a really interesting thing too, because a lot of the successes when you look towards a map like Lotus is combining a lot of your utility for challenges, right? If you're going to the bread and butter, you're looking for utils over towards Rubble, right? Where you're getting stuns, you're getting mollies, you're looking for the contest, you're generally getting a Shrouded Step Omen or even a raise to get towards top of Rubble. And we've seen that toyed with like once. DRX are kind of given a little bit of free reign over towards his A site, and as I actually say that, this actually looks like Paper X are going to do what we're hoping for.
Okay, stack back in. Still 1-4 splits on both ends, but once again, DRX find the opening pick.
And even a little how do you do on towards another member, ping gone out, position revealed.
Okay, Mindfreak just hovering up towards Mound. You do have something ready with, well, maybe the Rolling Thunder on the other end of B, but not too much at work for information on the ends of PRX. The clone instantly sent out, and that throws something off. Forsaken, though, trying to work around Baby Door, but he gets gunned down as well. 2 players remaining. That's Mindfreak and Jing trying to work along opposite ends of the map.
Yeah. Individually, I mean, if they're able to find another kill or two apiece, that would give them the shift to the rounds.
Gunman. And that will be extra information for DRX as well. I mean, this is what they get to do. I think the spike this early on. Mindfreak, though, snuck in towards the back. Instantly alerts 2 players from DRX. A bit of a high-low, and it's too much for him to handle.
Yep.
All that's left is just Jing.
Again, not enough time. He's got to seal the deal on this one, unfortunately, and head for the hills to take the gun in towards the next rounds. We're really seeing that be occurred a lot here for Paper X.
Yeah, the second time that he's done this so far in the map. Walking towards Marco's crosshairs as well, though. He's not even going to be able to hold that gun for the next round. Oh,
yeah.
Not great for Paper X, Komodo.
No, not at all. And now you're finally going to be forced into a little bit of an eco rounds too, right? Or you force and try and hope for a win here, and you're 8-4 in the half is best effort. I'm looking towards the util again over at this A Rubble, and it just feels like they're trying to do the util to command respect, and they're not doing anything on the back of it. You're caught in no man's land, trying to reposition yourself, and Flashback is just getting ahead of it. He's been really sensational for a couple of these opening frags set up as well by Bane's utility, for example, or you're getting Freeing's util in there, the camera and the cages to provide a little bit of forward momentum too. It really is looking good for DRX, and just seeing what weaknesses mid-round and early round in the map itself right now that PRX are exposing.
I hear what you're saying. You know, it really is kind of that show of force to try to keep DRX away, but DRX, recognizing what PaperX are trying to do, they are able to just walk in and disrespect whatever PaperX is trying to set up. And with that, you know, it's often DRX finding that opening pick. So that's a problem that needs to be solved, hence the timeout now being called. Both timeouts being used, being spent in this first half. What do you reckon PaperX are going to try to fix this time?
Well, they have to do it on the back of whatever has just been discussed here, and then what they can find in a switch-up, really, because you're taking the timeout here. You really are playing on the back of, we're winning these next 2 rounds, we're getting the pistol round and maybe a bonus, and then we're back in towards the map. We've done it before, technically already in the series, right? But this feels a little bit different now to the last few maps.
Okay. Different in terms of the rounds as well, a 1-1-3 split instead of 1-4. And maybe safer positions being held this time. So Forsaken alongside Jing. Something into its Baby Door as well.
Now as Paper X, you do have control of Rubble at the moment, but 9 times out of 10, you can see some good re-clearing with a composition like DRX are playing. You've still got 2 Prowlers as Bane, you've still got a clone if you want to throw that out.
Drone as well, though, and that allows for Forsaken to push out. They're looking to try to find Flashback, possibly, but even with the Aftershock, Flashback, outlawed hand, he's able to work alongside his teammates. Kills off all the way across the map, even outside C sight. Paper X are down in the dirt.
Yep, there's a gap that he can just play around in that pillar position as well, and then he's even got teammates close by to bail him out or trade him out, right? So it really feels like DRX have these contingency plans at the moment, and when you do shift into something, he gets 1, you trade him out, it's 9-2. So timeout, you wish you had it in your back pocket still now.
Last round in the half.
And you really are forced to wonder, right? You start things off on a map like Lotus, you need to get that early space, but when everything that you're trying, everything that you're attempting gets thrown away by DRX, it just can't feel good, you know. even with a timeout, I just imagine maybe just use the halftime pause to get your heads back screwed on.
Yeah, I mean, you just really need to get one foot in front of the other at the moment because you're not even treading water. You're really drowning, essentially, as Paper X here. You do fashion yourself something of a buy-in towards this last round at the moment, but Freeing finds Jing by himself over at Rubble with no trade. You've got Flashback, just Dimensional Drift to clear all of the C site, and then the team can just plant to their heart's content and set themselves up for a pretty strong post-plant. Though, I will admit, something and Forsaken's ults could actually upset things.
Hopefully, possibly, already starting things off with the Nightfall as well from DRX. Paper X all towards Waterfall. The Rolling Thunder gets collapsed through. Hyunmin, though, still able to find a shot nonetheless, and now swings off the other end of that pillar as well. A second kill, another one from Freeing, and now Flashback from behind on just a Sheriff. DRX will close this first half with a 10-2.
I swear, sometimes, Quack, stuns in this game are very cosmetic because Hyunmin is rolling thundered and he's just finding a waylay, dashing on in and taking off their head. So yeah, really, really heads up from beginning to the end of this round as well. Even from Freeing, right? Opening things up with the kill and then getting a little bit of a backstab from a lurk in through towards the B site here. It feels like Lotus's game plan of Paper X is just on the back of DRX's hand here. They just look at that and they know what's going on.
It's just incredible how Hyunmin is still able to land that shot against Forsaken, no matter. So there it is now, halftime. I really have to wonder, even on round 11, Paper X, that was the one off of Alex's timeout. They had a bit of a set plan. They were trying to pinch on the Flashback. But even with all of those utilities being sent through, maybe it's a bit of execution, maybe it's a bit of marksmanship, but they weren't able to execute that strat to the way that they envisioned it.
Well,
that's just not a good mental spot to be in.
It's also all of the consecutive rounds that DRX did have. They were rounds where there were different game plans a lot of the time from Paper X as well. So they're figuring out in these rounds what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and just adjusting things within the midst of the round. Even when they lose an opening kill, they're just adjusting quite nicely. And again, you got to remember, pistol round is the round that Paper X found. So it wasn't even that they got the 2 rounds as gun rounds, right? They were in a weaker sort of state too.
Yeah, that's just really, really tough. DRX being able to read Paper X to a T, like you mentioned, with the strengths and the weaknesses, they know how to work against this composition. That's just a tough spot, but you really got to pull yourself back into this game, especially after this little halftime break. Yep. Can Paper X bring us to an even scoreline, or will DRX close it out quick?
Yeah, well, you got to remember, it all starts in a pistol round, and it can certainly steam from there. But will it?
Will it? For now, we can say for sure at least DRX playing somewhat default. Smokes outside of A, and Paper X instantly into C. Forsaken trying to throw off some crosshairs with that refract and the dash as well. And it allows for Divide to actually sneak on through. Forsaken double backing in off of that little smoke, and that's 3 kills already for Paper X.
Yeah, nicely done to open up this C-side as well. And I feel a little bit hard done by for the DRX members there because they're just on the ledges and it moves them up just ever so slightly and they have to readjust their aim and they're not able to in the middle of the fight. But this is looking to be a sensational pistol to come out from Paper X. It's going to be flawless at the end of it for them as well. So, I mean, you're talking about, as mundane as it is, how to get back into a map. The pistol round is what you need.
It really is. I mean, mundane or not, that is the very situation that we have in our hands, especially for all the Paper X fans out there. And we know for sure that there are quite the number of Paper X fans as well. 60 to 40 were the predicted odds earlier on, as mentioned on the desk. But still, DRX, they are very close to map and series point. Starting things off now, Paint Shells looking to control Rubble.
And this is what I'm talking about, util combos to come on through as well, but what affords you a difference is Waylay being able to get in front of it, and then when you do get a little bit overwhelmed, you can refract out. Meanwhile, the rest of your team, they get in front of this utility because it expires as well, and they can just start to scale up and play to the better weaponry here, Quack.
Yeah, a bit of positions being spotted out as well, thanks to the earlier utility being dropped, but what? Oh my goodness, the classics!
Okay.
They're still finding the shots! Paper X at least getting to stabilize with rifles of their own, marking the back as well. That almost got out of hand, Komodo.
Yeah, sometimes you got to wonder, are PRX giving DRX a bit of a way in, a bit of an option here, but no. It was, you know, one of those times where you go for a little bit of the stack and you just have to contend with the utility and the shenanigans that do bring you a foot there. So well done from PaperX. They do not drop the secondary round unlike the first half, despite the Classics getting the damage in this one. And now you'll shift in towards a round where it's bonus variety, right? But again, you kind of got to win this one as PaperX. So what differences are you actually looking to do? What are you looking to play on towards the strengths of? And it's got to be Forsaken to get dirty in towards these fights again. Playing on towards a shotgun here, missing the first shot though. Can't refract out, unfortunately.
And that's what it is. PaperX, with the style in which they're playing, a lot of it relies on the entries. And when it looks a little bit shaky like that, you just gotta imagine something psychological. Nonetheless, though, with that chaos being ensued, they do get the B site, they do get the spike down. And with that, Mindfreak watching the back as well.
Can be a little bit claustrophobic staying in the B site though. So for PaperX, they want to have a little bit of a peek in towards C-Link here.
Okay, they might be able to find that stack up towards freeing. Mindfreak, as I mentioned, has control over pillars, and with that as well, a possible angle into the spike. He does have
Missed Molly.
a bit of, yeah, I was gonna say the poison cloud, but still, at least the salvos come back in from Jing, or from Devi at least. But still, that DRX continues to flat forward. Ooh, just trying to keep him at bay. Something low HP, but has to land the headshot. Freeing, crouches underneath the crosshairs, and gets the job done. That's gonna be the defuse. DRX up to 11.
Yeah, good work on at least getting it defused halfway when you see that snake spike come on in and it misses its mark a little bit. I start to get a little bit worried, but Devi sending in the salvos brings a little bit of time. Unfortunate at the end there for PaperX, because the game plan actually, despite losing the first kill, it goes nicely, right? They got the space in towards the B, they get the plant, they take a little bit more forward space. The Haunt though, again, Bane, I keep saying, his utility has been so impactful with that Haunt and with the Prowlers as well in this map so far. There have been some really great for openings and for closings here.
Just utterly effective, especially with how the entire team has been playing it even as well. Now the 1-4 split for DRX, just a bit of rubble control, quick back through the doors into the B site, Prowler into its pillars as well, and they do retrieve the information that they need against PaperX.
Even though DRX as well here, Quack, win the previous rounds, not afforded enough to go in with a full buy. So it's the Hyunmin show potentially here, getting a showstopper online. You can shuffle weaponry up as well and maybe steal away a gun from PaperX if they do decide to end things here in this B site.
Okay, fault line in along with light speed dashes, and it just baits that showstopper out from Hyunmin. So
nice.
It's not going to be able to fire that off into anything effective, possibly. And that's the effectiveness of the Waylay. Still though, does it open a door up for PaperX into a site?
Information on the little shoulder spot. Got to call for your teammates to start to get some rotations over, because these pistols, I mean, you need to be in close proximity with crossfires to do damage.
Oh, and with that, the flash and the execute now falling through. Forsaken though, off alongside the smokes, he's able to find 3, but Hyunmin finds his own as well. The Phantom picked up, and that's going to be Mindfreak and Devi to stabilize for PaperX, bringing the score up to an even 5.
Yeah, keeping DRX off of map point and series point for the opening of stage 1 here as well. So if you can continue to go in with that, you're kind of ripe and ready for some good damage in this next round especially, right, Quack? You've got the Armageddon online, you've got the Convergent Pass as well. These are going to be good laneable items to get in towards the site or to hold off a potential retake. But it really does begin at the very beginning of a round as well. These early controls that we're starting to see attempted over at Rubble. And it's looking like DRX want to do the exact same thing. So for some pressure now over towards Flashback, it's a bit too much too. Recognizing the drone would leave him isolated. Unfortunately for freeing first casualty. So this is going to be PaperX getting him towards this C site.
For the first time in a long while, but very welcome one indeed. So possibly Spike planted now. Meanwhile, for DRX to reclaim a bit more space, they do have to watch out for B though, because something is lurking in the shadows.
Now you might see these ultimates used if there's a retake starting to look a bit successful for DRX. A kill quickly might have been good for them, but just denied for now. And that might actually be it, yeah. You can't get back in towards this one, unfortunately, with the time and recognizing all of the bodies here. If you were able to bait out an Armageddon or a Convergent Pass, I think you'd be quite happy with the turnout, even if you lose the round. But the fact that PRX are kind of finding one kill and the space in towards it, and that's all to get this 6th round, you'd be a little bit worried for DRX if these are the sort of turnouts for the next couple.
It's little with a capital L, though, Komodo.
Correct, yeah. Just a little slightly.
I know. Even then, you know, as long as DRX gets to build up towards some ultimates, they can be looking at a very effective
Yeah, there could definitely just be one explosive round to come out from DRX, and if you're a Paper X where you're losing a couple of members in the next couple of rounds here and there, and you're not managing your economy nicely, it could get the 12th and then the 13th map is done. So you're going to try and call this a little bit early as DRX here. You've saved 4 weapons as well, right? You lose one member, you call it. All right, we're going for a timeout. We're going to stop any momentum to start to be built up by Paper X.
As well as to keep the guys locked in. DRX needing to stay focused all the way towards the end of the map. It is one away from that series point. But at the same time, you know, if they start to lose focus, that's where Paper X gets to build it back up. And as we have seen, that previous round was instantly done when Freeing fell outside of C. So tiny things like that.
Yeah, it's quite the important one here as well. So it's good to see that there's you know, a lot of engagement in these cameras at the moment too. As I say that, it switches to what's looking like a little bit of silence.
Well, that's not true, you know.
Yeah.
The camera's a little bit clipped. We can't see Termi, you know, wagging his tongue a little bit. So a little bit unfortunate, but nonetheless, you can definitely bet there is quite a bit of coach intervention. And we're just wondering what the changeup is going to be. Still very much is a little setup with Freeing controlling the C site. I mean, that's what the Cypher does. As well as A and B, though.
Yeah, maybe you're looking to go back towards some Viper fundamentals for Paper X in a round such as this as well, and up and down in that wall over towards A. You're not seeing anything too forward from DRX there, but speaking of forward, Paper X straight up through pillars in towards the front of B, so they've got some options to go for a bit of a C split if they want to quite nicely. They can always pivot back towards A if they want because of the lurk that'll come in from Mindfreak, but you're ulting in towards this C side at the moment, spotting some information if you can. Oh, Refract's timing is actually out, so Forsaken is stuck here, has to hold it through as Hyunmin falls.
Yeah, he did throw out the stun, does find Freeing, and there it is, into the B side as well, as the ult does its job of throwing a wrench in the plans of how DRX wanted to operate across the round. It's just Mako now. Spots out towards the back though, and that's Forsaken gone. Smoke back in. He goes onto a bit of a tap. Plays around the edge. The snake bite, not quite burning at his feet.
Yeah.
Goes for the reload though, and that's the second ultimate being baited out from Paper X. Mako, I think he's done his job. Whether or not he wins the round, he's gotten effective utility away from Paper X.
Oh,
now just looking for a possible kill or two. And there it is, the first one. Salvo off, and he walks right into it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of stalling power to come out from Paper X with those 2 members in Devi and Mindfreak staying alive. Snake's Bite firstly, Armageddon as well to afford time for the salvos, so it becomes really difficult in a situation like that. Forsaken though, you know, to find a C opener, and it's all a bit of a bait as well to remove the members over at the B site to get a plant in there. You do like that idea that there's still enough cooking for Paper X to make a good meal here.
Certainly very much could be. 4 rounds away from equalizing the score, as well as something back onto the Rolling Thunder. But as I say that, DRX has some ultimates of their own as well. Granted, not the most effective ones.
4 members, though, to take this rubble control at the moment. And Mindfreak, if he does lose his life, that's a Vandal that's going to be pilferable at the moment. So, yeah, they're going to steal that one away, but maybe not, actually, because there's an immediate presence back for Paper X. So, now they have to try and win a round out of 4 versus 5 conversion. And if we look towards the previous maps in this series, how many times did they actually manage to do this over on Icebox, Quack?
Yeah, quite a bit, especially with DRX up on 16 first kills.
Yeah.
That said, though, it is a very different map. Similar composition possibly, but DRX pretty much have a lot of it under control now. Forsaken looks to pull the attention away.
Got it.
Unfortunately, instantly tapped down by Mako. 3 players remaining, Komodo, and they look to flood into the B site. They might get the spike down, but look at Flashback in with the Dimensional Drift, holding on to possibly the clone. He doesn't have any more flashes.
He got all the information on the positions.
And that's exactly what he was looking for with his team. Rolling Thunder from something, though, just kind of luring them into the site, but unfortunately, they don't quite get stunned up by it. And with that, now Defy has to pull something out of the hat. He doesn't have utility anymore as well. Just sprays on through, but reloads to be damned. It's going to be freeing, sticking the defuse all the way in. DRX have found series point.
And that's the problem for Paper X now, that they don't have any more breathing room to make mistakes. And that's on the back of such a sensational first half that comes out from DRX. All it takes is these opening kills and then an idea of how to remain, you know, present in this B side at the tail end of this round. That's why I got to give so much credit and recognition to Flashback. Dimensional drift, but not with the intention of popping out and getting a kill. You're spotting all of the information on where your opponents are repositioning to let your teammates fine-tune how they need to get on the defuse, get the remaining kills, and that's exactly what worked wonders for DRX. Now, 5 rounds difference. You do have a bit of a build-up for Paper X to go at another round here, of course, and they are looking to set themselves up for quite the quick C-play. Ooh, that's a missed Poison Cloud high in the sky.
Okay, quick and fast into the site at least, but look at this site. I mean, Forsaken couldn't see a single thing on his screen. Everything all blocked off. Now something on a bit of lurk, spotted out by Hyunmin as well. The site being reclaimed by DRX as Mako picks up the double. Looks to hold the position outside the door. In with a showstopper as well, and an unsuspecting Defy gets blown up.